And welcome to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023. I'm John Masoni with 941 Sports Zone. Here with my partner today, John Reynolds, Sports Director from SNN. And our first guest of the day is from the ODA Academy, Coach Rob Hollway. Coach, thanks for being here today. And you've got some players behind here, some guests as well. Can you introduce each one of these guys, position and name, and see what they got to say?
Yeah, no doubt. So behind us, I have a rising junior, Chase Polivchek. Chase plays center. Kind of led the way for us up front last year. We rushed for almost 3,000 yards, and we did that behind Chase. Chase is getting a lot of interest in colleges, had a big summer, and be a team captain for us. And then I got Jack Meyer. He's our home run guy. He plays wingback, tailback, free safety, kick return, punt return. If the game's on the line, he's getting the ball. He's kind of our specialist. And then I got Brandon Beasley, who's also a baseball standout. Brandon's a senior, Jack's a senior as well, and Brandon plays inside linebacker for us and is kind of our hammer.
Gotcha. Well, guys, thanks for coming here, too. We'll have a couple questions for you before you get to go, so go let Coach answer a few questions first. Coach, last year, your record 9-1, the one loss to your local rival, St. Stephen's. But how does last year's team translate to this year's team? Are you seeing the same success and any holdovers, obviously, from last year's team as well?
Yeah, well, I think every year is a different year, and with new players. And, the one thing we are is we're big up front, and we're going to control the line of scrimmage. We do have a new quarterback coming in from Ontario, Canada, who we're very excited about. And so we hope to be more balanced, but this is a new team, and we lost 12 seniors, so we've got a lot of guys that are going to need to step up and replace some of those roles.
Gotcha.
And obviously, Coach, we talked a lot last year about certain culture things, the aspects that you're trying to build at ODA, obviously trying to turn the program around. A 9-1 season last year. What are kind of the building blocks for this year? Obviously, the rushing game is obviously top priority for you guys.
We just try to worry about the little things. And, one of the things we emphasize is the atomic changes. And so we try to get 1% better every single day. And we found by focusing on the little things that the big things have kind of started to take care of themselves, like being on time and finishing through the line and finishing the rep and having good practices. All those little changes we feel like have kind of added up to, substantial results on the scoreboard and long-term development with our program and our kids and placing kids in colleges. So ultimately that's the goal at ODA, is to provide a positive experience, get a great education, and have some fun.
Absolutely.
Coach, you guys remember the Sunshine State League. Yep. I was looking at your schedule, and you guys have, lots. It seems like there's teams to pick from, but you've got a myriad of places to go and travel. How do you condense your schedule down? How do you make your schedule out every year? I know you can play teams from Ocala or wherever you may be. Is it relationships, or you just try to meet and get new teams in every year?
No, that's a really good question. And, with schools our size being at the independent level, if we have 40 guys on the roster, that's a ton. Last year with 12 seniors, that was 1/3 of our male student body. So our enrollment's low. And so, and I've been involved with the Sunshine Athletic Conference since 2014. In my time at All Saints, I've served in various roles. And I love that league for schools like us because we're small, we're independent, we play like-minded schools. And, in Florida, you got to travel to find schools like that.
Right.
And so, we're going to head to Orlando. And then, we've got a really exciting matchup that we've got starred. We're headed to Cocoa Beach. Cocoa Beach last year when we played them was 5-1 at the time. We were undefeated. They've got a great passing attack. And, one of the things that we make an emphasis at OD is training our kids for the next level, right? Sure. And so we're going to spend the night in Cocoa Beach. And, I played college football, and I remember how locked in I was when we spend the night at the hotel. And we're going to do that. We're going to do the Olive Garden thing, walk through at the hotel the day before. And so that's one game we've got circled. And, like I said, is to provide that experience and prepare our kids for college, what it's like to have a walkthrough, pregame meetings, and be dialed in. I don't want to put the kids on a 4-hour bus ride and then hop off and have to play one of the toughest games of the year.
Absolutely.
I got a question for the big guy back here. Obviously, the rushing game last year, you guys were one of the top, obviously, from watching in the area, one of the best running games. Obviously, the center of the line back there, I want to know what you guys are working on this summer and how he's feeling about blocking for this great running attack.
Yeah, well, Chase is one of the best offensive linemen I've ever coached. There's no secret about it, and he's got all the God-given tools. And what makes Chase so great is the effort he puts in. You'll see people with the God-given height, weight, but Chase has got the 1% work ethic. And this summer he hit the trail of the recruiting. He's getting, a lot of Ivy League interest, NESGAC, Patriot League. And he went on the summer camp trail and was in our weight room every single day. And so there's going to be no secret we're going to be running behind him. He's in the middle of our offensive line, and he does a lot of our pre-snap calls, and if for some reason something's going on the offensive line, what's great about Chase is I don't have to coach it. He handles it in the locker room. And so it's like having a coach on the offensive line. And and the great news is I've got him for 2 more years. So
Chase, step in here a second. Offensive line, like John was saying, do you like playing center, or did you kind of fall into that position, or did you seek it out?
I kind of seeked it out because I always like being the leader, trying to identify the blitzes.
Right,
and stuff.
right.
And I like that position.
That's good. No, it's and like I said, a lot of times you watch college NFL, they're always sort of spotlighting the tackles.
Yeah.
But the center is the quarterback of the offensive line.
Yeah.
He's got to be the guy doing that stuff. So yeah, it's and a lot of times there's a lot of pressure on that. So if you seeked it out, you must like a little bit of that leadership role. That's great. That's great. And you guys, you don't mind him blocking for you, do you? No, it's not a bad deal, right? No doubt about it. It's Brandon, right? I have a question for you. 2-sport athlete.
Yes, sir.
How do you favor one or the other, and do you think one or the other that they help each other a little bit, like being a baseball player and a football player at the same time?
I think I'm gonna go to college for baseball. I'm gonna try and go to college for baseball, but football's obviously more fun. You get to hit people. So
No, but it's true because we've seen different places where the two-sport athletes becoming less and less prevalent. There's a lot more concentration on that kind of stuff. Coach, maybe you have an answer for this as well. Do you like when the kids have more a diverse athletic background as opposed to playing one sport all the time?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from the day I arrived at Out of Door, we talked about multi-sport participation. And, Brandon's one of those kids. He's a third-generation ODA kid. So he's had 3 brothers be at ODA. His oldest brother was broke all our quarterback records. And his dad's an Ohio State guy, so they got it in the blood. And, the great thing about Brandon is he sets the tone for us. I mean, he's kind of a one-way specialist for us and really takes care of our linebacker group and just does a really good job.
That's good. Come on, step in here. So, wing back.
Yep.
Are you a 30-touch game guy, or are you more that 10 carry guy? What's your role?
It really depends. I've been playing all over, so I can go wherever they need me. I played quarterback before, corner, safety. My main position is probably safety, but I think this year I'm going to be getting more touches on offense, trying to help out, get some touchdowns. And
quarterback, obviously, when you're the quarterback, another thing that helps, you probably know where everybody needs to go on every play. I know a quarterback who says to me, when he was playing in pro football, he said, "I still think like a quarterback.
Yeah.
I may be a tight end, but I think a certain way, and I every play call, I'm like knowing where he needs to go, and you probably are the same thing."
Yeah, when you're been a quarterback, you know where everyone's at, and that's how you know all the plays. And I remember one game last year, I had to step in for quarterback. We were playing Oasis, and I think we beat them like 56 to 10 or something like that.
A little fun day quarterback that day.
Yeah, it was good though.
No doubt. And Coach, I want to ask you a question too. Anything that you need to put out there as far as season ticket sales, or anything you want to put out there so that everybody knows where to go see and get in touch with you for any kind of things you're doing for ODA administratively that you want to talk about?
Yeah, one thing I think that we do at ODA that's really cool is we don't charge admission to our football games.
Okay.
We want to get as many students out that want to come check our games out as possible. Students, family, prospective families. And then week 8 against Bradenton Christian, Nate Strawderman's a good friend of mine, and we do a crucial catch night in support of the NFL and breast cancer awareness.
Okay.
So we'll be in pink uniforms in October, and that's the only game that we'll charge a gate for. And when we charge the gate, all that money goes to the American Cancer Association. And obviously we've got our St. Stephen's game circled. Coach Brown does a tremendous job. St. Stephen's is a heck of a school and kind of developed into our rival. So that's a game that we've always got starred. And so looking forward to those. Those are our 3 big games, our rivalry games, our crucial catch night. And so those are some things we got on the calendar we're really looking forward to.
John, anything else you'd like to ask?
I'll add to that. ODA games are a lot of fun. They got a lot of great people there. A lot of I got food trucks and stuff. They've done some live shots for us sending out there. It's a lot of fun. When they bring out the pink unis, it's a sight to see too. So ODA is definitely a building program for sure.
No doubt. Well, Coach, thanks for coming here today. We really do appreciate you guys coming. You guys as well. Have a great season. Good luck. We'll be in touch, and we'll try to keep you guys guys on as much as we can get you on or get anything that you ever coming up, just give us a ring, or we'll give you a ring, and you can come out here and we'll talk a little bit more in depth as the season goes on.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Johnson. I just want to say how grateful we are for the coverage. You guys do a great job, and we're super grateful.
No, and John, I can say he's the linchpin to this whole thing. He's got all that stuff. He managed to get all those scores in there and everything else before 11, and with a finite amount of time. So he does a really good job.
Yeah. Before we go, there's one guy I want to introduce.
All right,
This
come on
is
in.
Charlie Tack.
Hey,
Charlie Tack is our Mike linebacker, H-back. He was just at Cornell on an unofficial visit. He had workouts this morning. I said, just come when the workouts are over. And him and Brandon both play baseball, multi-sport athletes. And when I say hammers, the game's on the line. It's 4th and 1. Just like it was against St. Stephen's, he's getting the ball.
All right, I'll get you a quick question. I asked him the same thing. Baseball, football, do you like one more or the other, or they just have they're two different sports altogether?
They're two different sports, but I've definitely turned into a football guy over the years, so I've transferred more into football.
I think sometimes, and I like a real quick question, I think it turns into where football being so linked together, and the workouts, all the camaraderie, the travel, the team. I think sometimes as a high school athlete, maybe you can attest to this, that you sort of migrate to football because it is sort of like that fun sort of group thing kind of experience.
No doubt. And our baseball program is, won the state title in 2021.
Yeah.
Mike Matthews has got our baseball program rolling. What's most important to me is that we avoid over specialization. I mean, when I was in high school, I thought I was going to play college hockey in the winter, football in the fall, and then I threw the shot and discus. And I remember each sport brought so much to my development.
Right.
And so I don't want to project that on our kids, but I think it's best for the kids when they're playing multiple sports, getting exposure, lifting different, groups and strengthening different muscles. And so that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of folks are in agreement with that for sure. All right, thanks again, Coach.
Appreciate
with that, thank you. That's ODA Academy Thunder, Rob Hollway, Coach, and you guys have a great season. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll be back here in a little bit. See you back.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And welcome to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023. And right now we're talking to the Port Charlotte Pirates and head coach Jordan Ingman. Jordan, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having
And
us.
you have a player here that to introduce as well, a tight end, we were told.
Yeah, he likes claiming himself as a tight end instead of an offensive lineman nowadays.
Well, the number kind of makes him have to be
he's excited about it.
Skill position guy.
And we were riding up here. I said, "You sure you can fit in that jersey?" What were you last year, Dom? You were 75. Yeah, 75. So
Big change.
Yeah, he's enjoying it. He likes to call himself a skill kid now. So.
No doubt. So Coach, last year record 7-3. You guys are in the 3S division in FHSAA. You were the District 13 champions last year, and your teams in your district are Braden River Parish Community and Southeast. How do you like that new setup with the 3S and the district? Are you a fan of that classification, or how do you like the new setup from last year?
That's fine. I'm not a huge fan of how they calculate the points now.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot of transparency there.
Right.
I really liked how they did it a few years ago, where you knew, schedule strength, that was a big factor. You could literally calculate your number, and you could see the impact of playing good teams. And it's a mystery now. You're literally sitting by the computer saying, there was a chance last year that even winning the district, we could have been on the road in the first round.
Right.
And I'm not really sure how it's calculated, and that's kind of being a control freak. That kind of bothers me a little bit.
I can imagine, but I've been in the room, let's say the last 2 games of the year, where everybody is trying to calculate where they're going to stand, who needs to win where, and what all the difference. I'm sure you were probably doing that for years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you knew the formula, and you're
We
right.
knew the formula.
It is a little bit different when they kind of unraveled that whole situation and then made the 3S and 4Ms and all that other classification.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, they say schedule strength's a part of it, but it doesn't help as much as the last system.
Right.
The last system, you could see how playing good teams helped you in the points thing. And I think this system values wins and losses more than schedule strength.
Yeah.
I saw some good teams last year that had good records, and I saw some teams that had lost to really good teams that were ranked below. But hey, you win your games, you don't have to worry about any of that, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
that's at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to.
No doubt. John?
Obviously, building off a 7-3 season last year. Hey, before we get to Bishop Favero for Week 1, what have the building blocks been for you guys? You got a couple new quarterbacks. You got big guy here switching to tight end. What's kind of the changes we're seeing within the program?
So the team that's playing this year, we started 2 years ago, 9 sophomores and a freshman, and we were really, really young. And last year's team was junior heavy. So we bring back a lot of guys from that sophomore crew that started years ago. We have one quarterback, Eli mainly. Johnny has transferred. So he's done a really good job this offseason on competing, developing his body. He's gotten a lot stronger in the weight room, and we're very happy with his progress.
And I'm sure that from year to year, you see that progress as far as in the weight room. I know it's a vital part in every program to be sort of conditioning and getting yourself ready. You see the body build, how they go from a guy who plays a certain position, and next thing you hear he's 20 pounds heavier. So you got to probably account for that in a lot of situations.
Yeah, it was. We just did our max week, so we got all our numbers, and we'll take the field as the strongest team we've ever had. We had 44 kids squat over 315. Which we're excited about. We had 38 kids clean over 225. So, credit to the strength staff, Coach Debus, Coach Butch, Coach White. They've done an awesome job with our players in the weight room. So, we believe that, there's only so much you can control in your speed. There's a lot of genetics in that.
Right.
But strength-wise, that's an accumulation of hard work over a 4-year career. So we're really proud of those numbers. That's a credit to our players on their commitment to the off-season program.
Yeah, there you go.
Dominic, I have a question for you. Obviously, making the change from offensive line to tight end, obviously blocking is a big part of that. What's been the differences you've seen in your game, the development for you, obviously in your senior year now?
I was just getting better, just getting everybody, just loving the game more. It's been fun.
And in the weight room, prospectively, when you're offensive lineman comparatively to a tight end, how has that changed for you? What's the workout like? What's the changes been for your body physically?
Just trying to weigh less, get a little bit leaner, but still getting on that level of the linemen, trying to push that weight that they have.
Gotcha. You got to show coach you're still an athlete, though.
Yeah.
I got it. I got you.
And then, of course, obviously, now the ball becomes part of your, everything you do. So, have you? This is the first time you ever played tight end, or have you played it before? Or?
It's first time playing.
All right, so that's something new. I mean, that's going to be the first game out there, and they're going to tell you, "Hey, man, you got to go downfield 10 yards, turn around, and catch the ball." That's going to be your first time. Got to be exciting, though.
It is very exciting.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Coach, you had mentioned earlier your first game this year, 8/24 on a Thursday night. You're playing Bishop Favero. I think they were state semifinalists last year. You talked about scheduling and playing tough teams. Obviously, a very good team where they went. How much is that iron sharpen iron early on in the year to get yourself ready for the season? That first game.
It's huge. We're going to see. We're going into year, I think it's 12, and their quarterback is as good as any quarterback that we've seen.
Yeah.
He is the total package. He can run, he can throw off balance. He's an elite competitor. He's one of the more competitive kids we played against. They've attracted some skill kids that are elite too. So, I mean, they're going to be offensively as tough as you can find anywhere. So we're excited. They do a good job coaching. They're going to do some good things that are going to put some guys in conflict. And, that's what it's all about. When you play those tough football teams, our team practices harder. There's more excitement. It's just the whole thing is better than a team that may not be as good. So we're extremely excited to play Bishop Moreau. We know they're going to push us, and hopefully they'll reveal some deficiencies that we got to get better at as we get ready to play in our district play 5 weeks later.
Yeah.
And you mentioned obviously Manly's a new quarterback under center, but you do have a lot of seniors coming back, as you mentioned. Tell me about some of the guys we can look forward to on the field this year.
Eli's the only new starter for us on offense. We return 10 starters on offense.
That's nice.
So he's surrounded by a veteran group. He's surrounded by a tight group. One of the things I'm really proud of is our team is close. They're legitimately, very close. So he stepped into a good group that competes, that practices hard, knows how to practice, and off the field is very close as well. So hopefully, hopefully it's a good mix.
I mentioned your district earlier in the about Braden River Parish Community in Southeast. In district you develop rivalries, but does it ever trump or surpass your rivalry with the team down the road in Charlotte? You guys still kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be, we have a unique situation where it's kind of an old school rivalry where same county, literally a river divides it.
Right.
The kids grew up playing against each other. Our town's a small town feel still. Some of the north and south has become a little more transient.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of alumni that come back to that game, kind of like small town high school football like you see on TV. That'll always be a thing. For me personally, they're not in our region, they're not in our district. So for me, it's a points game. It's
right.
about, hey, we got to win this game to try to get home field advantage. That's where my mind is.
Right.
But for the community, that'll always be a big thing.
And that's why with the district, now you've got, two schools that are established, between Braden River and Southeast, and then Parish Community, relatively newer situation. So, yeah, you probably, and once that district starts, that's how you're right. Those games are what matter. Those are the games you got to win to get to where you need to do. And with that, you got to figure that Braden River, Southeast, and they're going to be it's going to be fun games as well for you guys. That's going to be high profile, very, very important games for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those district games are just huge. I mean, you don't want to put it in the hands of a computer where you don't know the formula.
Right.
So,
right. That's it.
Those are, like we tell our guys, we'll open with Braden River. That's round one of the playoffs. It really is.
It's the absolute truth.
That's the first round of the playoffs.
And what has the offseason been like for you guys? I know obviously we recently went through a tragedy, losing an assistant coach. And I know that's a tough question to ask and a tough question to answer, but what has that been like as a rallying point for your team, obviously wanting to play this season in memory of him?
Yeah. Jace, Coach Norris was he was special. He was as important as any coach on the staff. I would say he was the most beloved coach on staff. He was a role model for our players. What I mean by that, he did everything right. He went off and got his degree. He came right back. He got his master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
He's the youngest head of the department in school history. He was the head of our ESE department. He was always prepared as a coach. He had a tremendous balance of being prepared and intentional with what we're doing, but keeping it fun. Players love it, absolutely. And for me personally, I leaned on him. Our desks are right next to each other. And, when things got hard, we take a lot of criticism during the season, obviously, as coaches, which we sign up for that. He was always a guy that I would personally lean on. And we called him Positive Paul. If there was anything negative, he'd say, Jordan, that's $5 in the positive jar. And, he was that guy. So we've had a tremendous offseason from a number standpoint, from participation, from attendance percentage, from maxes. That's been incredible. But I'd be sitting here lying to you if I said the last 2 weeks were as challenging for us as any 2 weeks in our 11 years.
Right.
It just you lose a guy like that that's so intertwined, you just don't replace him. You just don't.
And a football team's a family.
It is. I mean, his kids. We have family night where our players are in our house every other week. We cook for them. His family night was always the best. So Dominic played for him for 3 years, and it's it's different. You spend so much time together in the weight room. Dominic was on his platform. It's like losing a part of their family too. So it's been a tremendous challenge.
Yes, and I'm sure, this guy said, it's going to be probably good to go out and play some games and get yourself going, because that's what everybody would want. You want to get out there and go out there and perform the best you can, and I'm sure the kids will be doing it for them for the family. In that way.
Yeah. They loved them, and they're gonna. They played hard. They play hard regardless,
Right.
but there's gonna be a little extra something because they all want to make him proud.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you guys coming out here today. Really do. On a more upbeat note, the 24th is a Thursday night, so you're starting a little early than everybody else. Bishop Favero, we'll be keeping our eye on that game. That's going to be a real great start to the season.
It is. We're, like I said, you're going to see some top talent. I know Myron Charles, our defensive lineman's a 4-star, and their quarterback, I think, is a 4 or 5-star as well. And then they have a couple other skilled kids that are 3 and 4 stars. So there'll be some good talent, and I think it'll be exciting. I hope that game gets moved back to Friday, because I think that's a game a lot of people want to watch. I think it'll be fun to watch. Yeah. I mean, you don't get to see the caliber of athlete that they're going to have, and we've got some really good players too that I think, as a fan, a high school football fan, I think that would be a really entertaining game to see.
Of all the first games I looked at, that's the one that popped the most for me. I know I have a little insight into Bishop Favero. I have a friend whose son plays at Favero.
There you go.
And so as soon as I saw him, like, wow, okay, that's a really good matchup.
Good football team.
Really, absolutely. You guys are
They're
a really good
well coached.
matchup.
They're talented. We're excited to play them.
And you mentioned Myron Charles. I'm glad you brought him up. Obviously, a kid here that really, for the radar that I've been looking at, really kind of popped up. He's 4 stars, you mentioned. What's the recruiting trail been like for him? Obviously, getting him in front of coaches. I know he's got a lot of high-profile interest.
Yeah, he is. He's popped just about every offer in the country other than Georgia and Clemson right now. So he is highly sought after. I joke because until September 1, they can't contact him directly. So in addition to coaching football, I'm also Myron's secretary. So they call me and they say, hey, can you have Myron call me? So until September 1st, and then after September 1st, I'm no longer relevant. He becomes a junior, and I'm no longer his secretary September 1st.
There you go. All right, with that, thank you, Coach. This is Coach Jordan Ingman of the Port Charlotte Pirates. We appreciate you guys both coming out here today. Good luck on the season. We'll be in touch through the year. We'll follow you guys and see how your success is.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. We'll be back right after this.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
All right, welcome back here to Douglas Jeep for the Suncoast Gridiron Media today. John Reynolds and John Musoni, now joined by St. Stephen's Episcopal head coach A.J. Brown. Guys were 6-5 last season. You got a couple of great players behind you. How are we doing today, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, doing awesome today. I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys for inviting us.
Now, first question for you, Coach. Go ahead and introduce these guys behind you. You got a couple big-time players, I believe.
I do. So behind me is he's wearing number 4 today, but number 2, Evan Brown. If you don't know, that's my nephew. And on the other side, I got Jacob Clulo. Super awesome, genuine, nice kid. Plays defensive end for us.
Now, 6-5 last season, made a deep run into the SSAC playoffs. Mm-hmm. What are kind of the building blocks coming off last year, trying to go into this year? Obviously, before week 1, you guys got a Jordan Christian Prep at home.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to maintain. Last year was a long season, but it ended up being a good season. So trying to maintain and fix some of the mistakes that we had last year, let that momentum carry us into the off season, into the spring. These guys did a fantastic job in the weight room, trying to keep that going, and now we're at this point.
And last year, it sounds funny to say I forgot, but we had a hurricane in the middle of the season last year.
We did.
And it was a wild season, because I'm looking at all the records and different teams, and I'm like, well, they played a lot. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh yeah, the hurricane. Mm-hmm. How did you guys get through that adversity and to go as far as you did in the playoffs?
I think a lot of it was more internally. Mm-hmm. Team-wise, I think the elements were with the hurricane that was big for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think one of our biggest issues was coming together and playing as a team. And I knew we had a good team to start the season off. We just didn't gel together in time. And once those guys, got that part figured out, we ripped off the last 6-7 games.
Yeah,
so.
I saw that for sure.
Now, obviously, you mentioned Evan back there as your nephew. What's that like coaching family? Obviously, I told him before, I got plenty of highlights of him, makes a lot of big plays for you guys.
Yeah.
What's it like coaching nephew up and obviously seeing him be successful?
It's good. It's funny because I've kind of been coaching him since he was 3 years old, since he's able to hold a football and run. So to see him grow up to this point, it's awesome. I always knew he can do those things that you guys see on the highlights. So to see him actually doing it at this age, it's amazing for me to see.
And what's the recruiting trail been like for him? He's got a lot of schools interested in him right now?
So he does have a couple of schools. He just came from the University of Clemson camp. So he has a couple of schools that are looking at him, and we're trying to get more.
And I'll go ahead and ask you, young man, how are we feeling about this season? How are we improving the game? And how's the running attack looking over at St. Stephen's?
I'm switching to quarterback this year.
Oh, okay.
So I still want to be involved. I still want to have an impact on the running game, but also trying to get a good passing game going so we get a good rhythm. Have a bigger impact than we did last year. Hopefully have the same result.
And how did the change come about? Obviously, switching to QB, obviously you're going to have more leadership, more ability around the offense. What's that switch been like for you? Obviously smooth, or a little bump in the road here too?
It's been pretty smooth because I used to play quarterback when I was younger, so I got to get back to some of the same stuff. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I want to have a big season this year.
Coach, I had a question for you. I know, guys, Sunshine State League, scheduling. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've got just a myriad of different teams you can pick from and whatever. How do you balance how far you're going to travel, who's going to come in? Is it a challenge in that situation?
It is a challenge, especially the last couple of years. It's been tough trying to find teams to play us.
Right.
And which is crazy because it's similar teams. And I feel like similar schools, similar teams, and sometimes you don't get a response back trying to find teams to play in. So it's been tough. But I think next year I may have to reach out as far as Gainesville to try to play some of those teams there.
I've seen some of the other schools in the Sunshine State playing Ocala or Orlando or over the place. So some definitely some travel, and then trying to lure them back down to your guys' place is is the other part of it. If you're willing to go, then hey, can you reciprocate? And
yes,
I know scheduling is got to be something that's that challenge every year.
Yes, sir.
Because then of course things switch and this is different, and so you guys are definitely. And I did see your schedule looks challenging this year. Looks like you got a good deal, but again, you put together a nice schedule. It seems like you're going to have a fun schedule.
Yeah. Definitely, I think so. I'm excited for it. I wish we could. I'm still looking for one more home game on 9/22.
We'll put it out there.
Yeah,
looking for a game.
Home game on 9/22.
No doubt.
But if that game doesn't get filled, we've had 2 bye weeks before, and I have to look at what's best for my team.
Yeah.
So
sure.
If it doesn't get filled, we'll go from there.
Gotcha.
I want to ask a question here. Obviously, the defensive side, defensive end, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what's the progress been like for you this offseason, kind of building upon last year's success? And obviously, you see that defense take another step.
It's pretty good. We've lost one player, one of our linebackers, so we're just trying to fill in that position. But other than that, I think we're pretty solid. Our defensive line's staying pretty much the same. Our corners are staying pretty much the same. We all have to play 2 sides of the ball, so he's going to be playing probably quarterback and some corner. And everybody just got to work and get it done. So.
And how important is that, obviously, to have those building blocks off of last year, to have a cohesive unit returning and obviously keep that success going? How important is that as a defense to obviously have that familiarity?
It'll do us well. We'll all flow, hopefully get to the ball, do the same things that we done last year, and just play off of that.
All right. Now, Coach, obviously we got Jordan Christian Prep coming up week 1. What are we thinking about that week 1 matchup? Obviously, get off to a hot start.
For us, definitely, I'd like to see my team come out fast and ready to play, and knowing exactly what they're doing. Assignment football. They'll come in with some athletes. They always have some pretty good athletes, so it's always a good week 1 opener for us to play against them. And we've played against them, I think, the last 2 or 3 years, and it's always been some pretty good games. So I'm looking forward to it.
And Coach, I was saying, anything this year in particular, games, any fundraisers you're doing, like you get out there to the social media world to say, hey, come on, there's something special you do every year, or something that you want to talk about your program in particular that would be noteworthy.
No, nothing that, no big fundraisers that we actually do. But if you're in town, we'd love for you to come out and check us out. We always have our big games against ODA, BCS, those kind of teams. So
that's what I'm talking. Yeah, because those, like
Absolutely.
I said, I saw you guys played ODA twice last year.
Yes, sir.
And then you sort of overcame a loss and came out and beat them in that situation. How was that sort of the transition? Is that part of the growth for the team that you saw that come to fruition in that second game?
I think so. I think the kids were. I think the first time we played them, they were just excited to play ODA, and we always are excited to play ODA. It's a fun game. But when you look back at that game and to see all the mistakes that we made, it was just like, wow. So after that, they took it upon themselves to tighten in mechanics and assignment football, and I think that was a huge thing for us going into the next time we played them.
Right.
Now, I have one more question for you. Obviously, he's making the change to quarterback. What have you seen in his growth and his potential change? Obviously, from running back to quarterback, now going to have more leadership around your team.
I think it's going to be great. I think his growth has been, amazing. Watching him come in, as a freshman until now. His size has changed, believe it or not. He's quicker, he's faster. I think his decision making is going to be really good for us this year. So I'm excited to see how he distributes the ball out to the other players that we have. So it's not going to just be, a one-dimensional thing with us running the ball, which I love to run the ball. But I think we can play a lot off of, running the ball with the running back and him keeping it and throwing it. So I feel like you get the whole package.
I just heard you say, Coach, about how the development from year to year, weight trainings, all the conditioning. It's nice when you see it all kind of culminate with a senior year or going into a junior year. Watch these kids really kind of come and get it, and then they sort of take it on themselves. They become responsible for it. You can probably attest to that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And actually, both of these guys. I mean, I've watched them grow since the 8th grade. I've known Jacob since the 8th grade. He stuck it out. But if you're ever on Twitter or something, he's always putting videos out to see how he's grown from his power clean, his hang clean, his squat. I mean, it's crazy of how these kids just stuck it out. Same thing with him.
And again, you're right, because they take it on themselves. It becomes you're not having really to probably push anybody anymore when they get to that level.
Absolutely. No, and that's the great thing too. They've started to push themselves, but also that started to bleed into the other guys on the team as well.
Right. No doubt.
And we talked to Coach Hollway about how his players, a lot of their two-sport athletes are baseball and football, and we mentioned how a lot of track and field athletes on your team, obviously, and that kind of bled over into your spring game. Is that something you'd like them to do, is participate in track and field to kind of help with the football side of things, or is that just something you have so many athletes, they just got to play every sport they can?
I do. My preference is for them to definitely, run track. We've just added weightlifting to our list of sports as well. So if you're not running track for me, I like you in the weight room doing weightlifting or wrestling also, which is in the fall. But I like for my kids to do something, one of those 3 sports after football season. Then I know exactly they're getting some type of, football training in wrestling, whether you're learning how to lower your levels, take shots, things like that. Weightlifting, you're getting stronger. In track, you're getting faster, which is all going to help us on the football field.
Man, all that stuff is all developmental, and of course, working in different situations, different teams, it's always going to be. It's a character development as well.
Absolutely.
You work somewhere, you're going to have to work with different people and do different things, and have to be multitasker, developed in a lot of different situations.
Absolutely, because like you said, we play both ways. Most of our kids play both ways. So I mean, again, we also have to be smart in how we plan practices and how we do things, but they also have to, make sure they're nimble and strong enough to be able to last like that.
Right.
All right, Coach, we thank you for stopping by today, bringing these great guys with us, and obviously we're going to try to get out to some games at the more athletic complex. Let me tell you, John Musoni, it's a lot of fun times out there. You go to some great games, the fans pack the stadium, beautiful structure, beautiful field, and they're going to have a good season this year. So we appreciate you for coming out, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll try to get back on the podcast maybe sometime
absolutely.
this year.
We'll keep in touch with everything that's going on for you guys.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
This year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. We'll be right back after this.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
are again at the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023 at Douglas Jeep. And we're here with the Bayshore Bruins head coach Jamaal Sanders and quarterback Caleb Rhodes. Guys, welcome here, and thank you for coming down to the media day today.
Thanks for having us.
No doubt. Last year's Bruins team probably not up to what you wanted to be as far as your record was concerned.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, what it kind of boiled down to, it was just a numbers game. You know, we just didn't really have enough bodies out there to be able to compete with the talented schedule that we faced.
But again, like obviously, you know, it's a building block, and I know saw that you had 4 new coaches, high-profile guys. Let's talk about those guys that are coming on board with Bayshore this year.
You know, what's funny about it is like some of those guys I've coached, and I've known those guys for years, and they were just down at Sarasota High School. So Sarasota kind of got them before I could when I got the head coaching job, and you know, they went through a coaching change down there, and they kind of opened them up in the free agency. And the minute that happened, you know, I was actually one of them reached out to me. Our offensive coordinator, Ricky Simmons, he kind of reached out to me, and we just kind of put it into play.
That's great. That's great. Go ahead, John.
No, I was going to ask about those coaches. Obviously, you got a lot of guys coming in. You're trying to change the culture at Bayshore, get back to a winning way, and obviously bringing those coaches in. And obviously, Brian Carnes obviously has a great history in college football. What was obviously bringing these guys in? What additions were you looking for? What kind of qualities were you looking in these guys to bring into the program?
Well, I think what it does for us is it allows us to kind of specialize in the individual positions. You know, we just didn't have all of our coaching staff filled for the previous year, so as coaches, we would have to coach our offensive position and the defensive position, and now it just allows guys to be able to focus and specialize just on their position as a coach.
A couple of the coaches we've talked to already, we talked about district play. You guys are 2S District 15 with Booker, DeSoto County, and Lemon Bay in your district. So I imagine a focus, like all other coaches say, you focus on those games because those are the ones that sort of get you to that next level.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's no cupcake district.
No,
we're fighting almost giants in our district for the fact that, you know, when we face Lemon Bay, they're going to try to maul you. DeSoto's going to come in and they're wing T famous. So, you know, if you don't see wing T enough, it'll kill you.
Anybody, no
absolutely.
doubt about that.
So that part, and then, you know, Booker's with Scottie over there has been doing a good job putting a good product on the field, and they have athletes all around that in the positions they need them in to be successful. So, you know, it's a tall task for us, but we're up for the task.
Yeah.
And talk about some of the players you got on your program this year. Obviously, we have the young man behind you.
Yeah,
what are some of the players we can look forward to seeing on the field?
He's one of the huge acquisitions that we acquired in the offseason. You know, just because in the past we haven't had the guy to be able to spread the ball around, and teams knew that. You know, if we can't pass the ball, they come bring 8 or 9 people in the box and dare us to throw the ball. So having Caleb join us, you know, that's a huge win for us. We also got Jaden Judge from Sarasota High School. He was one of the running backs there. And in the spring, we had Nasir Edwards come over, and he'll play some safety and some slot receiver for us. And also again, with Caleb coming over, it allows us to put our guy Vincent, who was our quarterback last year, to his most skilled position, which is slot receiver, and he'll play some corner for us also.
And then, Caleb, I want to ask you a question if you want to step in here. Where are we coming from? Obviously, we talked about new acquisition. Where were you previously?
I was previously at Lakewood Ranch with Coach West.
Okay, and so what's the change been like, obviously, becoming a part of the Bayshore program, obviously heading up the quarterback position, and what's kind of your envision of this offense moving forward?
Well, it's been very smooth. We got great coaches, great players, a lot of athletes to throw the ball to, and I think we'll get it going pretty quick. Yes, sir.
So what's the offseason been like for you? How have you developed, obviously, getting in the weight room, strength training, and what's the offseason been like for you?
Just working. That's all we got to do, and just get prepared for the upcoming season.
Coach, I got a question for you as well. A lot of talk about off-season conditioning workouts. obviously that's probably the same thing for you guys. I mean, you coming in off the summer, getting ready for preseason sort of practice.
Absolutely.
How you feel about it after that off season? How did it work out for you guys?
We've had the most number of kids come out since I've been the head coach. And again, I've been around the program for 20 years, and since Raymond Woody left, it's probably the most number of kids since then.
That's great.
Now it's the process of keeping them out, keeping them motivated, and keeping the vision that we have for our program going forward.
A little disclosure here. I was a graduate from Venice High School in 1983. Bayshore was the bomb. Bayshore was the team.
Yeah.
And so I know the tradition behind the program. And I think a lot of times probably in your situation, not only building the team, building a culture with the team, but building the community back into the situation as well. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people up there that probably tell you stories and said, man, back in the day we had, all these different players and guys that played in the NFL, the Golf brothers and everything else. So
golf, we got Fabian Washington. We had Carl Hayes.
Yeah.
So we're rich in tradition, but what the kids now don't know that.
Right.
And we can bring them back and they can talk to them, but again, they don't know that. I was talking to a kid the other day about a VCR, and they had no clue what it was. So, I would have to go figure out where a VCR at and put a tape in.
You can't put a VCR in your pocket.
Yeah, So that's the plan. The plan moving forward is to build us, and be able to compete on the level that we're able to compete in. But again, our main problem right now is just our numbers.
Right.
So it's almost impossible to do anything. And I think last year we dressed a few games, like our last 2 games, we dressed 23, 24 players.
Mm-hmm. That's tough.
And 5 or 6 of them going both ways, including special teams. So you just kind of wear down. So to be able to get away from that and get our numbers where they're at now, it makes us a better team.
Yeah.
Because, again, this guy right here, he don't have to go over and play some linebacker for us. He just has to specialize at quarterback.
Right.
And it limits us to maybe 1 or 2 players that can help us both ways, and everybody else.
And
just
that fatigue on a quarterback can probably wear on him a little bit. Yeah, no
absolutely.
doubt.
And how are we building into this week 1 against Tenor Rock? What are we looking at? Obviously, trying to get things going and preparation for that game.
Yeah, I know. It's a different scheme, offensively and defensively. So we're probably going to keep it vanilla to try to get the ball around to our athletes in space. And defensively, we're just going to try to, obviously, we want to get after the quarterback, stop the run, cover. But my main thing now, especially now that I have all the coaches, is I get to coach effort. In the past I had to coach technique and scheme and all that. Now I get to coach effort. So being able to get them guys the defense 11 hats to the ball, now I'm excited about that. Being able to tell our offensive linemen to block until you hit a whistle and then maybe block a second after that.
Right.
I'm able to do that now and be able to step away from the everyday individual work with players.
And that's setting the culture. That's setting you're the orchestrator of all that, the master of ceremony, so to speak. And now you get to do that the right way. And I'm sure that's going to translate to a lot of good things for you guys. I
hope so. Just in the past, like someone told me a long time ago, when you're the head coach, you stop coaching. And I've always been a coach. I've always been a player coach where I want to teach technique, the little things about it in football. But the reality is, when you're the head coach, you're almost like owning the business. You got to see the overall picture while everybody else is doing the grunt work, so to speak. So, it's hard because I'm a player, an ex-player, and I'm a guy that want to get in there. But I'm starting to understand the role of the head coach.
You coach different stuff, but you work more.
Yeah, absolutely.
No
I do
doubt.
the stuff that don't nobody see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So.
I tell my employees all the time, I'm like, you think you go home at 3 o'clock? I don't go. I have to go do more stuff till 7:30.
We live with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I wanted to ask you, too, about Jaden Judge. You mentioned coming over from Sarasota. Yeah. Obviously, there he had a lot of carries, but he split some time with 2 or 3 other running backs. Is he going to be more of a bell cow for you guys, get a lot of the load? What's kind of the expectations of him?
Well, he's the guy. He's the guy. Again, I could bring Nasir Edwards into the picture because he carried it for us in the spring. But we also had LaDavian Johnson that who was a freshman last year that carried the ball for us some. But right now it's Jaden's job. So, and he's special. We don't get them too many dynamic players like him, and to be able to get that guy in the space and watch what he can do, it should be a good thing for us.
And what's the recruiting trail been like for Bayshore? I see on Twitter you guys are bringing some coaches out and having some colleges out. What's that like?
The funny thing is colleges always come. If they go from one school in the county, they're going to come to Bayshore. And the good thing about us, we're right across the street from IMG. So every school that in the country is going to come across the street to Bayshore. So it's great to be able to get, I guess the big thing is we're more social media now. Where in the past we just kind of been off the grid. Now we're more social media, and everybody's seeing that we getting these coaches to come in and sit down with us. But it's always happened. We always had, last year we had Charlie Strong come in, and the guys come. It's just like any other school.
Yeah, no doubt. Anything you'd like to bring out there? Season ticket sales going on right now? What are you guys doing as far as the season is concerned?
Well, right now, all our ticket sales are still online, so we're not doing that. We're still in the COVID protocol.
Gotcha.
So, all our tickets will be on gofan.co. And we're just kind of extremely ready to get going. It's been a tough summer. Hot, absolutely. But, we're grateful for it. It builds character. Yeah. And we'll be able to take what we had in the summer and push forward in the season. So we should be able to do some good things when we step foot on the field.
Great. All right, Coach, thank you. Caleb, thank you for coming out today. That's Bayshore Bruins head coach Jamaal Sanders and quarterback Caleb Rose joining us here on our media day. Again, thanks, guys. Good luck in the season. We'll look forward to watching you guys have good things this year.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. And we'll be right back.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
All right, we're back here on the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day at Douglas Jeep. John Reynolds, John Musoni, and we're here with not a stranger to the podcast. Obviously, he knows a lot about this desk. 941.
Three Johns.
Absolutely, yeah. Three Johns
before.
And a Ryan in the back. So
now we're like that thing you just keep moving the parts around. I'm here, you're there, he's here. So, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it right.
So, Coach, obviously today, big day. We had a lot of coaches out. Tell us about what practice has been like for you guys. Obviously, building off last year, runners up in the state championship. We want to get back there, but this time we want to bring another ring home for sure.
Yeah, we have a really good culture right now in our locker room. We've had a great off season dating back to January, and we had a great summer. What we just finished today was our last summer workout. Ryan was actually voted by his coaches, all the coaches, as the hardest worker that we had this summer and off season. He's had a great off season, and we've had a lot of kids that have really been showing up every day and working really hard, and it seems like we're all in the same boat, rowing the same way right now. And we definitely have a goal in mind, but we got to make sure that we're focused on the little steps. And the first step is Tampa Bay Tech.
And obviously today you said it was the last summer practice, so now transitioning, what's this next period look like for you guys?
So we start fall practice on Monday. We'll put our helmets on, and we're pretty far ahead as far as installation of what we're doing offensively. We have some really good players, so it's going to have to be a situation where everyone is selfless in what they're doing and trying to be the best football player at their position, and not focused on individual goals, but rather focused on individual performance. And what I mean by that is we're not, receiver, not worried about how many catches or yards, but more concerned about how his play is as a blocker, as getting lined up, and running our offense at a great tempo and knowing their assignments and doing their job.
I got a question for you. I know that it's always been a big deal about having so many players come back, especially on the offensive line. 5 guys back.
14.
14 back. So you have five. You'll have five
starters,
that'll be there.
and the 5 backups and a couple extra guys.
What kind of jump start is that for you going into the season?
It's huge. I mean, one of the biggest pieces is obviously the quarterback coming back. We don't have that, but Ryan and Jaden are both have very high football IQs and have picked up the offense and have been doing a good job of that. But when you have the offensive line that has, played a full season under each other as starters, and really we have 8 guys coming back that have some starting experience and full game experience, so that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, because I know that's always been a big deal, especially when you have nobody coming back or one coming back or whatever it may be. It's kind of tough.
Like
to get
last year,
we
had none coming back.
Right. So so you went from that to a whole different,
right.
almost like the spoils of riches in this situation. But they've all got to perform, and the fact that you have 14 means they're competing every day for that position.
Right. We actually just after we got done with practice today, our last summer practice, we had a staff meeting, and that was one thing we discussed is, we got to make sure that we're not selling these younger kids short. I mean, they could step up and take someone's job. And we have some really, really good young kids in our program that have had really good summers and have really, kid going from being a freshman walking into the campus for his first time to having a full year under his belt is a totally different person.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, a question for Ryan, obviously coming from IMG Academy, the success, obviously everybody knows IMG Academy to be a national staple. You come here to Venice. Venice also a very successful program. What's the transition been like for you? Obviously you have Jaden back there with you. You guys are battling out every day at practice. What's it been like for you making the switch and the jump to Venice?
No, it's been, I'd say it's been pretty seamless. I mean, IMG is a great place, and, I enjoyed all my time there and, really helped me develop. But, I just, Venice so far, just for the past few months, been a really great place, and I've really enjoyed every second. Getting to know all the guys, getting me and Jay in the room competing, like you said. Really had a really fun spring, I think, and anyone you'd ask would say that. And same thing with the summer. We competed, had some really good days, offense versus defense competing, and no, I think all in all, it's been a really good experience so far, and I can't wait to get out there on Fridays and see what that atmosphere is like on the home side, not the visiting side.
Yeah.
So.
And then working with Jaden, obviously that quarterback room's got a lot of talent in it right now. Obviously the competition is what it is, but are you also picking each other's brains, kind of working together and kind of and rock step with each other?
No, for sure, and there's a lot of stuff like I know Coach P said. We're pretty good like through the install stuff and whatnot, but as we install more stuff and just out on the field running through things, we'll think of ways that hey, maybe a step here or a look, maybe this drop, and just kind of timing things out. And it's really good to have someone like him that I feel like we're on a pretty similar wavelength and skill level that we can kind of like you said, pick each other's brains and kind of like operate together and try and figure out what's going to be best for us to put ourselves in a situation to win and succeed. So for sure.
Ryan, I got a quick question for you. Originally from New York, right?
Yes.
Long
yes,
Island.
Yep.
Me too.
Love that.
Whereabouts?
Like Cold Spring Harbor, Huntington.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a Smithtown hop hog guy.
Yeah.
So
you guys were like PAL lacrosse rivals.
Well, that's a long time ago for me, but no doubt about that. Just question for you, transitioning just to being in Florida from up north. I mean, obviously you just went through the practice here, summertime. Did you like it? Was it challenging? What was it like for you to kind of come from that different environment, weather-wise, to come down here?
No, for sure. I've been down here since I was 12, so it's been it's been a while. But no, I mean even still, it's fair because I actually went up there a few weeks ago for 4th of July and whatnot, and it's a different heat. It's something. It's not. It's there's that humidity makes a difference, but no, it's been it's all good. I think it's really, you see it the most when, when we're out there and we're conditioning and pushing each other and whatnot. And, that's only going to, when it comes to later in October and November. And, I know last year when you guys were in the playoffs a few times, some of those games were in the, the 50s, 60s. And, you're out there and you feel like you could play a whole second game. So, yeah, it's obviously it's different, but, the work we're doing now is just helping us for it.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, Coach, I did have a question for you. Obviously, we talked about Ryan and Jaden. We got a two-headed monster in the backfield with Alvin and Jamaris. You have an abundance of riches at the receiver position. When you're trying to get that many pieces involved in the offense, obviously you can never go wrong with having so many athletes on the field. But when you have so many talented receivers, how are we breaking down trying to, get guys their touches and get guys involved?
Well, like I said, we're not worried about touches. What we're trying to do is score as many points as we can, as efficiently as we can. And if that means running the ball, that's running the ball. If that means throwing the ball, that's throwing the ball. But we're trying to get the ball past the end line as fast as we can and as often as we can. So that's really the only factor that comes in. We don't have a hit chart of who has to have this many touches or what we need to do offensively. We're going to do what works. We're gonna have an offense that we have answers for any situation we get in.
And a lot of these transfers coming in, guys like Jace Barksdale coming in, Charles coming over from Riverview, how have they acclimated so far and kind of getting seen like Ryan and Jaden kind of being in lockstep with each other and getting kind of in the flow?
Every time we have a kid that transfers, typically, I think every high school in our area, like anyone that walks up here today or has been up here today, has had transfers. And I think that's what we talk about culture. And, my definition of culture is, the pressure that one feels when they enter our program to do what's expected. And I can't tell you how much that it's been so seamless. Like when these guys show up, when Ryan showed up, when Charles Lester showed up, it's like they've been there forever. And it's really been seamless. Would you not say it's pretty seamless?
100%, yeah.
I mean, it's just, they're not, someone said something the other day like, oh, you have a Riverview kid. And I said, well, we don't have, they're a Venice kid. You know what I mean? So they're in our program and they're part of our family and they're accepted by our players, our coaches, and everybody. And we're just here to help kids get to where they want to get to. And that's why I've gotten this business and that's why I'm still in it, is helping young men, reach their goals and get to where they want to go.
And obviously an unsung group of your team. Obviously you lose guys like Damon Wilson and Elliott Washington, but the defense still has a lot of high-profile guys on it. Tell me a little bit about that side of the ball, because a lot of the focus and spotlight maybe is put on your offense about how talented it is, but the defense is still right there with them.
Right. You got, starting on the back end, you got Dalen Platt, who is a returner, who is a phenomenal football player, and he is very underrated. He's one of the best corners that I've ever been able to coach, and he is, like I said, he's way, way underrated. But he will make himself known when the season starts. Chad Fleming at free safeties had a great offseason, so we expect big things from Chad. Kenai Brantley, Chuck Brantley's little brother, is with us, and then also Lester at corner. So our back end I would say it's got to be as good as we've ever had it. As far as our linebackers, we returned two guys that were really, really good football players for us, and Eli Seed and Carter Dalton. Eli playing the middle linebacker and Carter Dalton playing the outside linebacker. So the linebackers and DBs are very solid. I think the one question mark that everyone has for us is our defensive line. We return David Galloway, who played a lot for us last year. We have Ryan Daly, who had a great spring, great off season that we expect big things from him. And then we have some good young kids at our defensive end. So we're not sure exactly who our stars are going to be, but we have a good core group. Eli Jones, Finn Jones' little brother, he's a really big kid. He's had a phenomenal off season and had a tremendous amount of growth. So we're expecting big things from Eli as well. So I think defensively we're going to be a lot better than people expect.
I got a quick question for both you and Ryan. New quarterbacks coming in, you have to kind of get used to not just the plays and the other players, but the tempo. Right. How do you see the tempo coming? And Ryan, he's done answering the question. You can say how you get adjusted to the tempo as well. For you, how you see him adjusting the tempo, and for Ryan, I
thought our tempo was fairly good in the spring. It was kind of a weird game because that's the only thing I can kind of judge it off of. I think if you look back in the spring, it was kind of hard to judge our tempo because we scored very quickly, very often in the first half of the game. And then the second half of the game was just kind of, we made some mistakes offensively. But I thought overall our tempo was really good for the quarterbacks like this. Through the summer, we haven't really spent a whole lot of time on running tempo. We don't huddle, we don't do those things. So it's probably faster than people are used to going, but in my perspective, this summer we've been going pretty slow. When we're doing our pass stuff and our team stuff, we've been going pretty slow. We haven't really been emphasizing tempo. But when Monday comes, that will be emphasized, and we'll be back on that track. But they both, during spring, having two new guys, there's a lot more that goes into it than just running to play fast and lining up and running to play fast. So they got to learn the signals. They're responsible. They have to know where the protection's sliding to. They got to know the blocking schemes. They got to know where the back lines up, because they got to tell the back where to line up. So they have a lot to process, but they did a great job, and it kind of revamped a little bit of the passing game. I wouldn't say so much of watering it down, but I think we have maybe a little bit better package for what we have offensively, and they'll be able to run it for a lot faster.
And Ryan, tempo for you, how's that the adjustment for you?
I think Coach P touched on it at the end there. Like, even though we have been going a little slower this summer, I feel like the amount of time we've been spending and the amount of plays we've been running, and I think everyone just has it so drilled into their heads at this point that when we get out there on Monday, we'll all be able to go fast, just because we've done it so much this summer and the spring that I think we'll just be able to click right into that next gear and just be able to push the tempo a little bit more. But no, in the spring, I think we did a decent job. Not nearly as fast as we want it to be, and I think we all knew that, and we're all prepared to push that to the next level, and because it's only gonna help us on Fridays. But no, I think kind of like what Coach P said. Just I think we are all just developing and kind of drilling in those plays, and super confident that everyone knows what they're doing now, because the past few weeks that's all we've been focusing on. So I really think once we get out there, it's going to click, and it's going to look really good.
And I'm sure the confidence factor is a big deal, because you know that you got to go. You want to make sure that guy's lined up or he knows what he's doing, because it's a turnover waiting to happen or something bad to happen if it's not.
For sure, and that's kind of played it to the slower part at the beginning of the summer. But yeah, now I think that we're all just going to start clicking, and it's going to go really well. So good. Super excited.
And obviously you guys have one of the more talented teams in all of the area, but when you get on Twitter, I see these guys in the weight room, and you're achieving so much in the weight room. So obviously you're going to have one of the most physically strong teams in the area. Gosh. What is it like? Obviously you guys are getting those players ready for the next level, because collegiately the weight room is just as important as anything. So you guys are the weight room has got so many guys achieving so many milestones. What's that been like, obviously seeing those guys develop?
It was funny because at this, last year when we graduated Damon and we graduated Kentai, Damon was a 420-pound bencher and Kentai was the same way. And we didn't have a whole lot of, I was like, gosh, we're not going to be a very strong football team. But they had a phenomenal offseason. Just yesterday, right? Yeah. Hupp hit 300 pounds. That was our 32nd player on our team to bench 300 pounds. And that's, I think that's 17 more than we've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
That board's looking pretty full.
Yeah.
How are we looking on the board? You up there?
Yeah. No, we have.
Ryan's our quarterbacks. Both our quarterbacks are up there. They're both 300-pound benchers, and they're both right at 300-pound clean. I think Ryan, what was yours? 275, and Jaden was 290. But today, that's the last thing I want to do today. Like, we were cleaning today, and I was like, no, let's not break our wrist here today. Let's calm down a little bit.
Another thing you guys obviously are very successful at is sending guys to that next level. This past week on Twitter, we see that Jamaris picks up an offer from Colorado. We got Charles committing on Friday, big decision. How have you guys really cornered the market in terms of having coaches be interested in your program? Obviously, winning does a lot for that, but being able to have that communication with these top-tier schools.
Well, I think one thing, and I'm not taking any credit for anything, but I think it's easier for a coach to trust somebody that they're accustomed to. And our staff and myself I've been at Venice since 1999. So when they come in, it's a familiar face. And, I think a lot of it has to do, like when you send a Dino Fonte and he has one offer and he goes to Eastern Illinois, but nobody wants him because he's too short, and he ends up being the FCS Defensive Player of the Year. People take recognition of it. Or you have a Dree Archer who, you're selling like, hey, this kid can run. He's a very good player. And, you get one offer from Kent State, and he ends up, being up for the Heisman and being the second fastest 40 in NFL Combine history. Those things kind of speak for yourself, for themselves. And then you get kids that go off and, are being successful at the next level, and coaches notice like, hey, not only are these kids, good football players, but they're used to being worked. They're used to being leaders. I don't know how many captains we have right now in college football, but Damon Wilson's going to be a captain for Georgia one day, and Trenton Kintai is probably going to be a captain for Old Dominion one day. Things like that. So I think those things pay off, and when they walk into our building, they know kind of what product they're getting.
Obviously, we got Tampa Tech week 1. Obviously, how's the preparation moving for that? And we're obviously ready to get on the field and hit somebody, I'm sure.
Yeah, we haven't really started on Tampa Bay Tech. We'll actually we're probably a week and a half or 2 weeks away from that until we start focus on that. We're still going to be focused on what we do and how we do things, and we'll be going against the defense for the whole entire second week, and that'll be the last time that we actually have ones versus ones. We'll have that for a week or 4 days. The second week of our practice, then all of our attention will drastically change to our next opponent.
All right. Yeah. I think that's all we needed. I think
we all the stuff we didn't know and now we do know, right? We can apply to the next podcast or whatever we have to do when we can pick his brain on the stuff he already said and see where it all heads to.
Absolutely. Now we appreciate for stopping by.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Ryan,
thank you guys. Ryan, thank you. That was Coach John Peacock, Brian Downs, Venice Indians, and we'll see you back here in a little bit.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
Welcome back to Douglas Jeep. We're at the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day today. John Reynolds, John Musoni, and we're joined now by Bradenton Christian School Panther football head coach Nate Strawderman, brand new head coach just after the spring game recently announced. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Absolutely.
You got a crew behind you, all of them back here just post it up. So tell me who
these are my guys. Yep. So this is Jaden Baker, playing a little running back receiver. Anthony Wynn playing quarterback, and we got over here Jaden Burnett playing some receiver, some really good guys.
And obviously you've been familiar with the program. You've been around BCS for a while, but first-year head coach. What's kind of these first few stages been like, just a couple months on the job for you?
Yeah, so really the role has been it's a blessing. Nobody gave me a handbook for this, so it's been a lot of learning, a lot of things that I'm learning. But getting guys bought in has been job number one. Just really getting around. I was blessed to have the opportunity to get hired before the summer started, so really getting in the halls, getting kids to get bought in. So it's a good start right now. It's a good start.
And we talked earlier a little bit. Your dad was a coach.
Yep.
How much does that help you? Obviously, seeing what he had to do and probably learning a little bit by osmosis in some way, watching him do his thing.
Yeah. So he's the reason why this is where the passion came from. Learning from him, really the philosophy and the leadership that he brought to the table at BCS. In 2020, the undefeated season that we had. A lot of the things that the reason why we were so good was what happened off the field and the relationships and the things that he did. I'm really just transferring that to this year, doing the same thing. So that's the inspiration with my dad. So
gotcha.
And obviously, your background in the program, being a part of it, seeing it have the high highs and the low lows. What's the steps right now for you to make this season, the first season for you, a successful one, and have these guys playing at the top of their game?
Yeah, so I think for us to walk into this thing, I think we all need to be bought in 100%. We had a conversation yesterday that we're all one, and you're not any special than the other guy. And so we need to walk into here, everyone together as a unit, and really the standard is, the expectation is, we have a saying, it's called greatness. And if we believe that we can reach that and to earn the opportunity to be greatness, then we'll be okay. And I'm very excited. We have usually BCS, we have about 20, 25. It's usually private schools, that's how it is, 20, 25 kids. We got 40 guys right now, possibly more. I got 44 jerseys. I mean, and 32 lockers. So, I mean, it's not a bad problem to have, but, you know, we got guys who are excited and who are bought in right now. So, yeah.
And we're hearing a lot about how we're seeing enrollment with football getting more and more. The programs that are actually very new, but there's other programs that said the same thing. And I went from 22 to 45. Yeah, I mean, obviously football in the state of Florida, high school football is just it's the thing. You know what I mean? It's really something that all the schools sort of that's the bell cow sport in a lot of ways, and kids flock to that. But in your case, do you think it's just like, again, is it something that's cultural or something more that just local to what you guys are doing to get your numbers up a little bit?
I think it's, you know, when the kids see that, you know, something special is coming, right? And you really promote that you know, you're going to be bought in for those kids alone. There's something special that happens there. And, you know, these guys behind me, I mean, you know, JB and Jaden, they're basketball first.
Right.
But they'll tell you that, like, my dad coached them. They're bought in because they know the love and the passion that's going to go into them first, and let that translate on the football field. And that's, in my opinion, where I've seen success, you know, come from, investing.
And we've also heard a lot of, again, two-sport athletes where we talk about specialization. You know, some guys are playing baseball 12 months a year. That's all they play. And other sports. I'll ask you, and then maybe the guys can respond as well. Do you like the fact that they're two-sport athletes, and do you think that how that helps them in regards to their skill set for football?
100%. I believe when I am totally bought into the fact that if you play another sport, you are staying active throughout the year. I am not a believer in play football, stop, rest until football starts again.
Right.
I 100% want these guys to go play another sport. And if that's your first sport and if football is your second sport, you know, thank you for being bought in. And I'm glad that you're playing this, and your coach is happy that you're playing another sport as well. I believe it brings college opportunities as well. So I'm a big believer in it.
And you guys you like the two sports, you know? Yeah, you can respond. Yeah.
What was the question again?
I'm saying you're a two-sport athlete, basketball and football. I mean, does football help basketball, and football? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think the physicality of football helps with basketball, and also like my footwork and like all that, like ladder work and all that. And it keeps me conditioned because basketball runs right after football.
Right.
So like it's not like I'm going to be out of shape or anything like that. So
yeah, and I'm saying the physicality, because obviously people don't recognize that basketball is a pretty physical sport as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no doubt. As far as you guys, same thing?
I think it keeps me busy year-round, and it just, like JB said, it keeps all the athletes in shape, and yeah.
And you're a basketball player too?
No, I play soccer and tennis.
Okay.
So
and you're a quarterback too. So I mean, obviously your mind is sharp. You got to keep going active. I'm sure that helps out as well as for you.
Yeah. I just like being busy year-round. Keeps everyone out of trouble.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And you're other basketball player as well.
Yeah. My mom is a SEHS volleyball coach, and she said like coaches look at two-sport athletes because it shows that you're like conditioned, you can do all the things well, and like you don't just focus on one thing.
You're 100% right. Diversity and being able to adapt to different stuff is very important, because that's even on the football field you got to adapt. I'm sure. Are these guys playing two ways? I was asking you, Coach. Are they playing safety and quarterback or whatever?
Some of them are. The blessing to have more guys coming is going to help out a little bit with that. But these guys, they'll see both sides of the ball. Yeah, these
no
guys
doubt.
will.
No doubt.
I have a question for Anthony. At quarterback last year, I saw you last year, obviously profile player on the offensive side of the ball, throwing it around. You have a lot of running ability as well. Meshing with Coach this year, what's kind of been his vision for you, and what's kind of being acclimated in his vision for this program?
So we have another quarterback, Caden, and me and him have a good relationship, and I think that I'm able to use my feet, which is helpful, and then he is more of like a passer. So I think that having the ability to use both is super important.
And Coach, what have you seen from both your quarterbacks this offseason kind of developing? Obviously, as you mentioned, one with a big arm and then one more of your running quarterback.
Yeah, I think utilizing both in a system, I think some people may disagree with it. I've seen be successful, depending on developing the system that you run year one. When you install a system, you typically find struggles in the system where you can work on that in the off season. And we've come to the point where these guys have mastered what we're doing. They've been bought in the off season. Both of them know what we're walking into, and we have a plan to really dominate in that way of running the offense. So I will utilize both those guys, and I believe they're going to do a great job.
Another question I want to ask you before obviously we get to Musoni, but it's probably something you've heard your whole life. You're a younger guy.
Mm-hmm.
People doubt you because of your age in terms of being a head coach. You're entrenched in the game, though. You obviously mentioned your father in the background there. What for you, having this opportunity at such a young age to coach athletes of a high school caliber, what is it like for you to be able to have this opportunity so young, and what would you say to naysayers that may doubt you because of your age?
Yeah, so my biggest thing is, I could absolutely care less about the next person on an opinion. I believe that I know who I am first. My identity is that, I believe my ministry is to coach these kids, and I believe that from an X's and O's standpoint, I've been, under a lot of guys who have taught me things that, I'm young and I don't know everything. There's a lot that I have to learn, but I know what I know now. And from an X's and O's standpoint, I know that what I believe in can work, and that, the next guy who says, well, you're just too young. Well, my response is, focus on yourself, because I got my guys, and, we're going to do a great job. And so I'm very passionate about this. This is I believe I'm called to do this, and it's a blessing to be this young to do it. But I would just say that my focus is these guys and my walk with these guys, and not what the next person says, because that just comes with the job.
We talked a little earlier about a couple of other schools that are in the Sunshine State League, and I've mentioned the fact that it's got to be somewhat of a challenge to putting your schedule together because there's so many teams to come from. How do you take on that challenge? As far as do you look for more teams closer to Bradenton, or are you looking for just the best matchup you can get, or whoever wants to play you at that point?
From the standpoint, it would be more so who wants to play, right? But obviously, we have teams that in our area where we're so excited to play, like ODA. That's something for our school where we get very excited for ODA week, right? And we want to get back to the point where we put St. Stephen's on the schedule again, and we're heading in that direction, I believe. And so we want to get to that point where we can go local rival, locally play rival games, and get to the point where we can be successful in that. So scheduling, I don't have a lot of experience with that right now. So I didn't create the schedule this season. So that challenge will come.
Yeah, it like I said, and it's always interesting because you balance home games with away games and trying to make matchups where you can go, reciprocate going back to play the other team. So yeah, it is one of those things that I think a large portion of your Januaries will be schedule stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see iron sharpens iron on the sleeves of these shirts. I think I know where it goes from, but I think that's what for them. They understand that they're gonna make them each other better at some point in time.
Yeah. So iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. That goes back to the philosophy of you're not any special than the next guy. Right. You all are special only if you work together and you push each other. And it's not going to be easy. It's no part of this is easy. And you come out to play football. This is going to be a tough sport. But you got to be bought in, locked in next to the next guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
And how are we hitting the ground running? Obviously, before I believe Santa Fe Catholic on the roads week 1, and that's going to be here for August 18th, I think. So what are we doing?
So every single day we have a countdown clock, and so right now every day we're looking at that countdown clock. We're so excited. There's a lot of new things that are coming with this program, and it's going to shock a lot of people, in my opinion, and not to say so in a way that becomes boastful, but in a way that I'm excited for these guys because we worked so hard this summer. Santa Fe we're counting it down.
And obviously, just starting up after the spring game, getting that initial announcement that you're the head coach, what's the recruiting trail been like? Obviously, has that been something that you've had to jump right into full-fledged since getting the job, or is that something that maybe you're going to work throughout the season?
Yeah, so from a recruiting standpoint, we want to use Friday nights as a tool for what kids come, like Wildcats, the Pop Warner team, to come we want them to come to our games and not just to see a Friday night football game where we just kind of run out. We want it to be special. Like, I remember seeing Venice has like the horn and everything. We just purchased a big tunnel. We're running out of a tunnel, man. I mean, we're doing it all. We're going, and it's not necessarily for, the show it's going to get our guys excited, but we also want people to say, man, look, I want to go play here because this place looks special. We have a lot of things running behind in the background of how can we get guys bought in and excited to play for our football team. And it starts, with what goes on behind the scenes.
And then collegiately, do you have a lot of interest in some of your players? Do you have colleges hitting you up and wanting to know about some of the guys?
So I mean, from that's the new part of the job that hasn't hit yet. I mean, we have a couple guys who have previously told me that colleges from this past season have been speaking to them. I haven't had that opportunity to get to that point yet. Been focused on really setting everything up for August 18th. In August and next Monday when we start camp. So a couple people, guys on the line right now, who have spoken to some colleges this past season. Yeah.
And Coach, anything you want to put out there as far as any special events, any fundraisers you're doing, something that we can help promote for your program at all, putting on social media, something you guys, I don't know, maybe again, coming out to the games. So you want everybody to come out there, so maybe you can kind of give it to the community and tell them to come watch some Falcon.
Absolutely.
Panther football.
Absolutely. I would say August 25th is our first home game. The expectation here is greatness. We really want to push to get a lot of people out for this first game. And I think we're going to shock a lot of people with what we have. So please, August 25th. Come watch what's happening at BCS.
New tunnel too.
New tunnel.
I've said it about a couple of the teams here, but the atmosphere that they have at the games is a lot of fun. You're right there, right in the middle of the action.
Yep.
When they score a touchdown, they flash in the lights. Like it's a hype time out there at BCS.
That's good. I mean, that lends it to. I mean, it's fun. You all the work goes into it. I always said Friday night's payday.
Right.
You don't want to not turn your payday away.
Yeah.
So it's a really great opportunity, and all those things that kind of enhance that are always a fun part of high school football.
Everything that we put in, people don't understand that Friday nights, it's the show, but the work that these guys put in Monday through Thursday is something that is just, I'm very proud right now. The summer it's been a really good summer. I'm just excited for Monday practice starting.
Gotcha.
All right, Coach, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
I appreciate
you for bringing these guys with you, and we'll stay in touch, obviously, and obviously hope you have a great first season.
And great luck this year.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
It's not a problem. We'll be right back right here with more Media Day from Douglas Jeep.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on the new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in the new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And here we are at Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023 at Douglas Jeep. And with us right now, the Lakewood Ranch Mustangs head coach, Scott Paravicini, and you have two players behind you I can introduce as well.
Yep, we got Evan Bullock, defensive end, and we got Will Kidwell, offensive line.
Okay, guys, thanks for being here. And Coach, last year's record, 6-4. You play in the 4S District 13. I'll ask you real quick first, how did you like the classification change last year with the S and M signal deal right there? So
last year, obviously, it didn't really affect me too much because I was at Bradenton Christian School.
Gotcha.
So we were in the SSAC, but this is my first year in it, so I don't really have an opinion yet, but I'm sure that time will come.
Gotcha. Last year's team against 6-4, you play in a district with Palmetto and Manatee. You're in the top classification in the 4S category. So coming from Bradenton Christian to go to Lakewood Ranch, how do you see the transition from maybe the size of the players, different numbers in the program? How does that work out for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a huge difference in terms of those two programs. It's different for me in reality of not having to have a split practice of offense for an hour and then defense for an hour, with a roster of 29 last year. So it's good for me to be able to have some more guys. Can't take anything away from those kids at Bradenton Christian. They work hard, but I think being at a program like that has made me better equipped to be prepared for situations that maybe you don't have a lot of depth in an area, or something's happening roster wise. It's a tough thing to go and coach a team and have 9 out of 11 guys start on both sides of the ball. So here it's nice. I can put more stuff in, and we can be a little bit more complex in the things that we do. So spring was a great start to what we're trying to do and set the new Mustang standard, and so it's just exciting.
And taking over, obviously, for Coach Rashad West, when you're implementing your own vision, your own plan of offense, plan of defense, what has it been like for the guys kind of transitioning from the coaching staff previous to your coaching staff now, and what's kind of the outlook moving forward and the steps been taken?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Rashad, has done a great job. Has done a great job at Lakewood Ranch. He's kind of made them relevant again in terms of football, and not that they weren't before, but if you look at the last 4 years that he was there, they've been as successful as they've been. So he's somebody that even though he's at Palmetto, him and I, when I was at BCS, he would be somebody that I relied on. So obviously the kids are well coached. So I'm gifted in the fact that I'm not coming in to try to rebuild something, right? I'm trying to maintain and set the standard in my vision rather than his, but continue the success that he has kind of generated there, So he did a lot of groundwork to get the climb up, and now I feel it's my job to continue that work to get it to continue to rise.
When looking at your schedule from last year, kind of seeing how things were with the team, one thing that popped off the page for me was the offense scoring a lot of points for them. So how many guys you're bringing back from the offense, and are you still going to kind of maybe install some of the same things? I think one game they scored 7 points. For the rest of nothing less than 28 points in any game for the rest of the year. Yeah, so we're going to kind of be a bit of an unknown in terms of returners and starters, because we had some guys leave. Okay. Obviously, that were heavily relied on last year in that Mustang offense. So we're going to be different conceptually. There'll be some similarities, but obviously we're going to come in. We've changed defensively what we're going to run. It's conceptually similar but different. Sure. And then offensively, it's conceptually similar but different. So it's not like we're coming in and reinventing the wheel, and anything that we're going to do on offense or defense is just minor tweaks and minor changes to better suit what we have now in the building. And kind of our ideas and coaching philosophies and that sort of thing.
What's kind of the vision right now at quarterback? Obviously, Clayton D's last year, now at Palmetto with Coach West. What's kind of what are we looking at, guys, depth chart wise there? Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's an open quarterback competition. I think we got a couple guys in the room that can go out and compete for a starting job, and we're just kind of waiting to see. Monday, obviously we've done some stuff over the summer to try to separate some guys, and Monday, hopefully those guys that have continued to separate will continue, and it'll make an easy decision for us. But definitely right now it's still very open in terms of quarterback competition. I mean, everything is super open at this point, And then a question for the guys back here. Obviously, making this transition over with the new coaching staff, he's mentioned it was conceptually a little bit different or a little bit the same things. There's similarities carried over, but there are obviously new things being put in. For each of you, how has the transition been?
So from the offensive viewpoint, I feel like the offensive line has really stepped up. We have developed a mentality that we like to, I'd say, instill in the rest of the team. And I feel like Coach P is very supportive on that. And even as offensive coordinator, Coach Gould, I feel like our offensive line is really standing out as like a key member of this team. And do we have a lot of O-line coming back? I know obviously that's a big staple on any kind of offense, obviously with the running game being important as it is, but have we got a lot of O-line guys back? Or yeah, four of our guys right now that have kind of solidified themselves as starters are seniors, and the fifth is a junior. So obviously it's kind of a very veteran-laden offensive line that we're going to really rely on these guys. They've been busting their butts all summer and really working hard. So, it's a group with some experience. Obviously, we're going to be different than what they've done in the past, but they've kind of bought into the system, and they've worked really hard to grasp it and to be involved in it, and they're going to be a big part of what we try to accomplish. They're going to be a front runner for us. And I'm sure evaluating the team as well. Off-season program had a lot to do with it, I would imagine. You figure you're getting into doing your conditioning and your weight training and everything else. You're probably seeing that work ethic, who's applying themselves, and then, of course, hopefully you can pick those guys out, and they're going to be players that you're going to count on this year. Yeah, absolutely. And those guys that are trying to set themselves apart in the weight room, that big group of guys that we had leave, obviously there were some leaders in that group
that were on the team last year, right? So now we're kind of looking, and I show up every day wondering, you know, who's going to be the one that shows up today to lead, you know, and I look for that consistent person of who is it this day, and eventually it's become to be the same person, right, in the same group of kids. So it's exciting for me to be able to see that, because in the spring I don't really think we had a true identity in terms of leadership. You know, we were kind of searching around for it. It was a new staff, new systems. Everything was just kind of astray, and now we're kind of getting into the routine of what we're trying to accomplish. So it's been fun for me to see these guys get in there. I went to Lakewood Ranch High School and played there, so I've always thought that we've had a hard-working group of kids. Whether it was when I played or just in general, I think that they work hard. So for me, it's been cool to see who's stepped up and has pushed themselves, who's 15 minutes early to workouts, who is doing the extra stuff and demanding from others. That's huge. And like I said, and we talked a little bit about the district, Manatee, Palmetto. That's got to be fun. You know, you're playing guys right there, and how important those games are going to be every year regarding to your goals moving up in the playoffs and everything else. So I'm sure your focus is on that, but your schedule altogether is a pretty nice schedule. Yeah. No, I mean, we're excited. Obviously, we got to get through week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 until we can really focus and worry about those guys. You know, they're both great football teams, great coaching staff. So I'm excited for us to be able to go out and compete and show people what we can do in terms of Lakewood Ranch football. And, you know, we got to worry about what's in front of us first and not get caught ahead looking at district opponents and games. And, you know, we got a lot of work to do.
And my last question for you, you mentioned you were an alum at Lakewood Ranch. What's the opportunity mean for you to coach at your school where you played and obviously graduated from? What's it mean to you for them to tap you as the guy? Yeah,
you know, I mean, obviously I really enjoyed my time at Bradenton Christian. I was very grateful for the opportunity that I earned there. But if there's one job in Manatee County that really sticks out for me, it's Lakewood Ranch, right? It's where I went to school. It's where I played. It allowed me to go play college football. Like, in terms of my reality in Florida high school football, and I may be an outlier here, but Lakewood Ranch is my dream job, right? Like, it had such an impact on me as a young man growing up. If I can do that same thing for the guys that are in our room, you know, it's all about the experience. If I can give them a successful experience, no matter what the outcome of things are, as long as it's successful, I'm doing my job. And it had a huge impact on me. So Lakewood Ranch is a special place for me in terms of the community and what we're trying to build. So it was awesome for me. You know, it was a one job that made sense for me to go apply to, and obviously I was able to earn it, and it's definitely not an opportunity that I'm going to forget. Well, don't doubt what you're saying is a lot true about a lot of coaches in the area that have gone back to their alma maters and said, "This is my dream job," because it's and that you know, prospectively, that probably will make you. You know, what you feel about it is then they're gonna feel that. They're gonna know that you really are bought into what you're doing, and this is what you want to be. Not that you don't care if you're somewhere that you didn't play, but there just means a little bit more to you to see that program succeed. You know, I was at Bradenton Christian, but every Friday night I still looked and see how did Lakewood Ranch do. You know, so it's a big deal to go back and be able to coach where you play. Well, so. and you would do it if you were coaching somewhere in any state, anywhere else. You're checking that scoreboard for sure. And that's we all do it. We all see what's going on, and it's a lot of fun. That's part of the thing about high school football in particular. You probably know this, and you guys will eventually understand it at some point in time. It's just like that's the roots to everything. You feel like that's where you're from, and you see it all the time with pro football players and college football players. They are about where they came from, and they really realize it once they're gone. You know, and then they put that energy, they put the energy into kind of trying to give back, and you coming back is probably it's got to be just a fantastic feeling. Yes, it is. It's awesome. All right, well, thank you guys for coming out today. Good luck to you, and good luck to you as well. And I know you guys are building something special out there, and you guys will be. We're looking at you for sure on Friday nights to see how you guys are doing this year. I appreciate it. With that, thank you guys for coming. That is Lakewood Ranch and head coach Scott Paravicini. I said it right? That's it. All right. I said it right twice in a row. It's a record for me. And we appreciate you guys all being here. We'll be back here at Douglas Jeep right after this.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on the new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in the new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This a Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
Welcome back to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day here at Douglas Jeep in Venice. John Reynolds and John Musoni. Now we're joined by the head coach of Booker High School, Scottie Littles, bringing back Soda Dame, and he has a couple guys with him here today. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate you guys having me once again. Always blessed to talk about our platform, our community, our school, and our players.
And tell us about the guys you got posted up behind you.
Yeah, behind me we got class of 2025, class of 2026. Kevontae Hugan plays defensive end. Defensive tackle, tight end, outside linebacker, about 7 Division I offers now, 7 or 8 Division I offers. And then behind us is class of 2024, Ahmad Tudor Hunter. He is the returning leading rusher in Sarasota, Manatee County.
Yep.
I'm so excited to have him back for another year. And 2 guys that kind of exemplify what we try to build and, what we're about and go above and beyond for our program.
I appreciate you putting the big guy over my shoulder.
Yeah,
I got to keep within on my P's and Q's.
Yeah, he's small right now. give him another year. He'll be 6'5", 250.
It's 126. Yeah, no doubt about that. Last year's record, 2022 record, was 6-5.
Yes,
You're
sir.
in the 2S District 15.
Yes, sir.
You were the champs in the district.
No, actually, we weren't by a half a point.
Is that what it was? The
That's
points?
what it was.
I was trying to figure out how that all worked out. I was going to ask you that.
So that is definitely motivation for this year.
No doubt. You got DeSoto County, Bayshore, and Lemon Bay in your district.
Yes, sir.
And obviously those games mean a lot. You got those probably the highlights of the year will be those district games in your schedule.
Yeah, I mean for sure. I think we all are in this. We want to win our district just
Right.
like everybody else. Especially with the way the rules are set up. If you win your district, you get an automatic seed. So we're excited about the opportunity to compete. We did not win it last year. We ended up losing to DeSoto down at DeSoto, and then DeSoto ended up losing to Lemon Bay, and then we ended up beating Lemon Bay and Bayshore. So we thought our win against Lakewood Ranch would have gave us strength of schedule and total points, but they actually beat us by like a half a point. So it is what it is. Shout out to DeSoto and what they did last year, but we're definitely excited about the opportunity to compete in our district and represent it and do our best to win it.
And it's nice though you got in the playoffs last year. Didn't work out the way you wanted to, but that experience is everything's a building block. I'm sure these guys they've been there and they know what they need to do from this point forward.
Nah, for sure. I think you hit the nail on the head. We go from 1-29 to 6-5, lost in the first round of the playoffs. So it was good for that group to taste what it takes to get to the playoffs and that success. I tell people all the time now, we're kind of we're light years ahead of where we were this time last year. With new staff coming in, and so we're just super excited. We're at the point now where there's validation of what we say. There's no more oh, why should I listen to coach or where's my role in this new program? It's more nah, coach knows what he's talking about. Let's follow the vision and the plan, and and we're just super excited about where we're at. We got a ton of work to do. No program is perfect, and the next month and a half to 2 months is going to be crucial for us and to get ready and make a run and do what we do.
Yeah, no doubt.
And tell us about some of the guys you got. Obviously, these 2 gentlemen here with us today. You got the leading rusher, as you mentioned, but you also got a couple new guys at quarterback, Alex Diaz, Noah Obaseki. Tell us about that. And then obviously one of your key players also not here today. He's kind of maybe he's having lunch or something with Dion.
He's doing something with prime time, So Josiah Booker's as advertised, one of the most explosive players in our area. 15 Division I offers, does a great job for our program. Like you said, Alex Diaz comes over, Noah comes over. We got, Amarian Patterson got granted a 5th year by the state. Courageous Hayes is a young player, got offered by Miami. Tyrone Wortham is a kid that came into the program, and is got a really bright future at wide receiver. I mean, on the offensive line, we got Eric Carlton's a returning starter. Javier Pastor comes over. We got Jaleel Williams, a really good young player. And Jordan Rackey, is going to help us on both sides of the ball. When you talk about our offense, it's explosive, it's fast. We got a lot of Ferraris and Lamborghinis and pieces to use. And then obviously with Tuda in the backfield, it just makes us hard to defend. But as good as our offense is, I'm excited about our defense. I think we got one of the better front sevens, in the entire area with kids like Kevontae and Jordan Rackey and Rashad Hill and Dejan Walton and Zyshawn Jackson, and and then you talk about the back end, with guys like Jason Thomas, and I mean, I think one of the most pure corners in our area is A. Brown, and so we got a lot of really good players all over the place. But like every other program, we got a ton of work to do. We got to become a team. We got to find out where the pieces fit. Yeah. So that's what we're kind of focused on right now. But there's a lot of talent at Soda Dame, and we're just fortunate to be in the position we are in versus what Booker was in. So
I got a question for the players. I'm out to start with you. This guy right here, he is full energy. He can talk it right and do it right. He's got everything going on. What's it like working with Coach Scottie Littles? He's very impressive young man. That's for sure.
Yeah, I could say it's great. It's great having him as a coach, and he's a good leader, and he does all the things right, and that's why I like to coach.
And I think probably I got that whole Soda Dame hashtag. You guys are. I know you're all bought in on that as well.
Oh yeah, we had no choice to. No choice but to.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. How about yourself? Pass that over there. How do you like Coach Littles, working with Coach Littles as your head coach?
Oh, it's great working with him. Like, sometimes he could be more than a coach. Like, we could talk to him about certain things more than football. Like, he's a great coach.
But that's right, because that's what I was. Everything you're saying is not surprising me based on what I've when talking to Scottie. So that's important, because when you can say you can talk to your coach and you trust your coach, that means so much. That's what's going to build for the program and moving forward. So I appreciate that you saying that about him. Here you go.
I actually have one question for Mr. Leading Rusher, sir, back here. So we put together a big season last year. Obviously, you want to do that once more. We want to have success further in the playoffs. Coming into this season, building upon that great season, what are the next steps, the building blocks for you to become even greater of a player than you already are?
My goal this season is to rush for 2,000 yards, and I hope I get there, and go get a ring. It's my last year, got to ball out.
And that's good to have those goals, because you want to reach as high as you can reach, and you set those goals high, and then that's how only way you're going to get there. If you don't believe it, that's what gets you there, setting those goals high.
And a question for you, man. We already mentioned you're a towering individual. You got class of 2026. You still got a lot of growth to be made. What are you're envisioning yourself in terms of growth for you? What do you want to get better at? Where's the growth been so far this off season, and what are we looking for the next steps?
My growth is in my pass rushing moves and stuff like that, my get-offs and things like that. And I'm trying to lead the area in sacks and tackles, break a record, it could be. And just be a good player, great player, and help out the team.
And your coach is nodding his head on everything you're saying, so he's saying, and he's looking like he can do it, and that's good. That's good. You guys both believe in the coach, and coach believes in you, and that's what's always been important. Coach, I got a question for you. First game this year.
Yes, sir.
We talk about schedule and everything else. Immokalee, 8/20. That's August 25th. I mean, is that where you're at right now, looking about that, or are you just more still about kind of getting the team ready from within as far as that? Or are you already started thinking about your schedule and what you're going to do?
I mean, I think as a staff, you always try to plan for who you play, right? Like you try to be a step ahead. But as far as where my focus is as the head coach is Monday, July 31st. Is getting in them helmets and separating the men from the boys, separating the contenders from the pretenders, and who really wants to play, who really wants to lay it on the line when it matters the most. And so that's where I'm at is us becoming a team. And yeah, we're a team right now, but we got to face some adversity through camp and push them to limits they haven't been pushed to see who's really going to stand in the paint, and when it matters the most, who's going to be able to make those plays. So that's where my focus is and we'll worry about the games when they come. But the assistant coaches, that's their job, right? To kind of know okay, this is who we're facing, this is what we got to do. It's my job to build the culture and push the guys to limits they haven't been pushed to, and that's where we're at.
And we mentioned the quarterbacks new to the program this year. Obviously, they've both been in other programs before, making the transition to Booker. What have you seen from them and their growth? And is it an open competition? Are you leaning one way or the other? I'm not asking you to give me your full hand or anything like that, but in terms of those two guys.
It's a full open competition between three people. We got, Alex Diaz comes over, then you got Noah, and then Jordan Johnson. And Jordan Johnson's a kid that's been in the program, has a ton of talent. And we'll see where he takes his game and what he wants to do. But it's an open competition. There's really no way I'm leaning right now. All three of them have different skill sets. All three of them have their own set of superpowers. And they're going to have to battle it out. It's kind of what I just talked about, like facing that adversity. Like, okay, you may be the starter one day, but one bad performance, when you're in a competition, like, one bad performance can lead to you not being the guy, so I'm excited for that, and think about that in itself. When you talk about building culture, me and you talk about that all the time. Like when's the last time Booker was in a situation where, like, quarterback's not the only competition we got going on the field, right? We got competition almost every position, and so, and even if there's a guy solidified like an Ahmad Hunter, who is solidified as the returning rusher in the area, like, he can't carry the ball every play, right? So where's our depth? Like, who's next in line to kind of carry the load when he needs a break or when he graduates, so that's a challenge within itself. When you talk about building a program, is you want to think about the years to come, so you got to start identifying those people and going from there. But definitely excited about where our program is, and we get to actually just go have fun now and not have to stress, and build a team and a program and try to go win some games.
And what you're saying is if he gets to 2,000 yards this year, the next guy next year, he's going to want to break your record. And that's what you want to have.
Hey man, you rush for 2,000 yards this year. We're on to something. So absolutely, I can't wait to see him do it. And if anybody can do it, it's him. So I can't wait to see him do it.
You didn't set that goal for me. That's all his.
Nah, I let them set their own goals. Our goal is to go 1-0 each week. I tell the kids all the time. Our team goal, we're gonna go 1-0 each week. And if you go 1-0 each week, they'll stack up. So let them set their own individual goals. I'm more focused on how do we move forward as a team.
Yeah.
And then I had a question as well about Josiah. Obviously, last year I keep pretty good tabs on Twitter, seeing offers pop up for him. I also keep tabs on my own highlights that I take, and I realize, this Josiah Booker kid's in every highlight that I'm putting up on the show. So where was the emergence for him taking that next step? Was it you coming to the program, paying him attention that maybe he didn't have before, or was it just him obviously developing as an athlete? As we mentioned, he's in Colorado, and he's got all these big schools looking at him.
Yeah, Josiah is a great person at the end of the day. First of all, Josiah cares about his teammates, he cares about his school, cares about his community. Josiah is a kid that, and like every other kid when I took over Booker, like it was one of those situations where the coach just got fired. Nobody kind of knew the direction of the program, didn't know me, didn't know their role within the program. And I remember very, very bluntly having a conversation with Josiah, like, look, man, you got all the tools in the world, and we can continue to do it the way that's not working, and it can be what it is, or we can try something new. And he said, Coach, man, I got you. And he's bought in, and ever since then, let his work and his talent and his play take over. And what I'm more excited about is his grades have went through the roof. His physical feature has went through the roof. I mean, when I got Josiah, he was 129 pounds. He's up to 160 pounds now, and I mean, he's faster, and he's 160. He might be faster than he was at 129. So he's just taking his game to a next level, and I mean, they couldn't stop him last year. So I mean, it's going to be hard to stop the combination of Josiah Booker and Ahmad Hunter on offense for us. And so we're really excited about that. And then getting Omarion Patterson back was just, it's like Christmas, right? You got the extra gift under the tree from mom, and you're like, hey, man. So we're really excited about that. And, that three combination between, Josiah Booker, Ahmad Hunter, and Omarion Patterson is going to be hard to stop for everybody.
All right.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Like I mentioned, whether it's Josiah, Ahmad, Omarion, the highlights are always fun to call for you guys. And Josiah,
listen, I'm telling you, Tyron Wortham, Courageous Hayes. Those are two guys. One has a Miami offer, and the other one, just give it 2 or 3 weeks. So both those dudes are rising sophomores. Class of 26 kids. We have 15 seniors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we got 90 kids in our program and 15 seniors. So
and that's how you built.
That's how you build.
That's how you build.
So we're excited about all those guys.
Well, it's one thing too when you ask a coach to tell us about his players, and there's the surface level guys that people know about, obviously the high profile guys, but when he can go through and name us 15, 20 guys that are going to make an impact, that are going to play at a collegiate level, it shows to that the Soda Dame aspect, the Soda Dame culture is really sunk in deep.
Out of the 90 kids, we got 33 freshmen in our program, if not more. And I'm telling you right now, we think these kids are good. Wait till these guys come through. Like, you know, some of these guys like Mike Peterson. And, I mean, we got Josiah's little brother in the program, Jordan Booker. I mean, Corbin Waters. I mean, these are all guys that will be Division I players, you know, and we're excited for them for sure. Travis Earl, a ninth grade quarterback who's going to be something to watch out for. So, I mean, you guys know Booker, the talent's in the community, you know, so
that's you know, and we've talked about it on our podcast. It was how it was back in the day, you know. Booker was the preeminent program for a long time, and they're ready to go do it again for sure.
We're just trying to do our part, and I'm just, you know, it ain't about me, it's about the kids and the community, and you know, we'll build it the best way we can until they tell us we can't no more.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, Coach, we thank you for stopping by, and we thank you for bringing these guys. Class of 2026. Give me a couple years, I might be more scared of this too, right?
For sure.
All right, thanks again for stopping by. And we'll have more Suncoast Gridiron Media Day right after this.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And welcome back to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023 here at Douglas Jeep. And we are now with the Sarasota Christian School Blazers and their head coach, Jacob Spenn. And Coach Spenn, who do we got standing behind you? Got some players here.
We do. We've got our quarterback, number 1, Ben Milliken, and one of our receiver running backs and DB, Justin Brock, number 5, and then our middle linebacker and tailback, Austin Carley.
And you guys last year, the record's 7-5.
That's right.
You guys are on in Sunshine State 8-man football.
That's right.
I wonder if you could kind of explain to the audience and to us a little bit about how the difference between 8-man and 11-man football is all goes.
I think for the most part, the first ever 8-man game I ever saw, I was coaching.
Okay.
So, and you really wouldn't know that it's 8-man.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 less tackles, so as you can imagine, everything is faster.
Gotcha.
The pressure comes to the quarterback faster. We get the ball out faster. There's a lot more edge play and a lot more open field play. So, you know, at least I don't know, compared to where I was at in Texas, we scored a lot of points wherever I've been, and because it's fun. But,
right. Yeah,
and,
no doubt.
And so, you know, but definitely it's more up-tempo game, I think. There are definitely 8-man teams that run the ball and look traditional. We're still a spread type offense. We throw the ball a tremendous amount and been through for over 3,000 yards.
Right.
So, you know, but for the most part, all the rules are the same, other than we don't do kickoffs, which is actually kind of fun. So,
well, anything you're talking about, more points, less kickoffs. It sounds like the NFL.
Yeah.
You guys are doing NFL
that's
stuff.
True. Yeah.
Because they want as many points scored as possible,
Yep.
and they are looking to sort of get rid of that kickoff situation from an injury perspective.
Yep. And I think it's, you know, for a school our size, I think this will be our last year in 8-man. We got a roster of 42 guys going into this year, so we'll have a full varsity, a full JV, and the goal is to be an 11-man football team. But the 8-man game is a lot of fun, and there's some schools on our schedule that are bigger. Shorecrest out of Tampa, St. Pete, it's a big school. They play 8-man because they just enjoy it more.
It does sound like something like, you know, when you hear about it, usually it seems like you're going to, you know, 3,000 yards passing.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a year. 12 games, that's a heck of a year. So
that's Ben Milliken. That's the Milliman who Millican. Okay. That's my go-to with him. That dude slings it around like 8-man, 11-man, it doesn't matter. But my question for you, Coach, we talked last year a lot about obviously trying to grow the program. You mentioned, don't want to gloss over the fact that you said you have a full varsity and a full JV. What does that mean for you? Obviously, strength in numbers this year.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We got 4 seniors they were already students but are going to play. So last year we didn't have any juniors. So the bulk is still going to be sophomores, freshmen, and a few 8th graders in that. But it's you know, we're at high school this year. We'll have 162 kids in our high school, and 42 of them are playing football. So I don't know how that translates with the big schools, but I'm pretty sure our percentage is real high. And that, you know, I think that speaks to culture and people wanting to play and be a part of it, and it's certainly a school that's never had football and now having it, they're starting to realize, okay, hey, there's some real benefits to the community side of this too. I mean, our games are a lot of fun. It's just it's kind of like a small town America feel, and it's great.
I'm gonna jump on what you just said. That is the thing. Sometimes people don't realize what it means to the community in the school community and in the community at large with a football game on a Friday night. And it's just one of those things that it's a very special situation. And the fact that you've got a quarter of your class playing playing football lends to that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure I'll ask these guys a question. Obviously, playing on Friday nights, it's got to be, you know, it's always a cool thing, but you put a lot of work and energy, and it's worth it. I would imagine you guys would all say that, right? Yeah, no doubt. So, like I said, you're 100% right to have that for people to recognize administratively and everything else, community-wise, what it really means is a huge deal. And I think that you recognize, and that's very, very, very wise of you to recognize.
Well,
that.
and those 42 players, that's not all of it. There's cheerleaders. We're working to start a drum line. Like there's just other things going on, let alone, you know, 50, 60 elementary kids playing football wherever they can find a space around the game. So, you know, that's fun.
No doubt. Schedule-wise, is it a challenge to find the schedule to make out, or you have plenty of guys to go play?
We have there's 38 man teams in the SSAC in the state of Florida, it's not difficult to find teams to play, and we don't even travel very much. We do have a couple. We've got a team coming down from the Jacksonville area, but for the most part, our games are all within about an hour.
Oh, that's good.
So it's not bad.
Because you talk to most of the coaches in whatever division they play in or whatever classification it is kind of hard to sometimes to find games to get, you know, because now some of the schools don't want to play a bigger school or a smaller school or whatever else, and you kind of got to hunt and peck around and make sure you're getting some challenges.
Yeah. Well, and I think when we go 11 man, everybody will want to play us because that's just how it is. But I think we'll travel more on an 11-man schedule than we will on the 8-man.
I gotcha.
So, yeah.
My question for Ben, last year, obviously, we talked about the yards, obviously the stats you put up. Is it just a transition is the 8-man game just really play into your skill set, or is it just, what's the growth been like for you, obviously, being able to sling it around all over the place?
I just think it's the plays and the guys I'm throwing to. I mean, it's like I'm getting them the ball, and they're getting me extra yards after the catch, and they're making the plays, and they're getting open. And I got a good line protecting me, so, I mean, it really plays into – I mean, I just got to get the ball to them.
My question for you guys both play both sides of the ball. So what is it like? Obviously, you're running around on offense. Obviously, a lot of points are scored, and then you're right back out there on defense, and you're trying to make as many plays as you can. What's it like for both of you kind of being uber athletic and just trying to make it?
It's hard to make a play on offense and right away go to defense. It's in practice we condition, and practice, you know, helps with getting stronger and knowing how to do the transition better into offense and defense.
Same thing for you?
We do this thing in practice. It's called the 2-minute drill. We go straight, real hard for 2 minutes, going play to play. And I do offense and defense every other time. And it's the intensity level's there, and it's definitely a lot of fun to get out there and be out there during that intense time.
And for whichever of you that'd like to answer this, obviously we talked about the growth of the team, have full varsity and a full JV team now. What is it like seeing more guys out, more guys dressed to play and ready to go? What's seeing the growth of the team from one year to the next?
It's encouraging that more kids are like realizing that it's time to go out and have fun and play football. And, you know, hopefully these guys maybe won't have to go both ways. So they're more energized for the one way they want to play. And that helps the team because if you're not as tired, you're probably performing better than going both ways.
Hold on to that, Mike, 1 second. I got a quick question for you. We talked. Are you guys 2-sport athletes or 3-sport athletes, or you just play football only?
I'm a 2-sport.
I'm a 3-sport.
And how do you feel that works for you guys? What's your other sport you play?
I play basketball.
Basketball?
Basketball and baseball.
Soccer.
Okay. The football, how do they work the conditioning wise and the skill wise? Does that work for you guys? You think that they help each other as far as the conditioning, and you apply some football stuff to the other sports, or how does that work for you guys?
I'd definitely say that this will be my second year playing soccer, so the football has definitely helped me a lot to be more physical and more conditioned in a way in that case, so that's how that's helped me.
And since I play 3 sports, I'm like back to back with football, basketball, then baseball. So football and basketball help a lot with staying in condition and being in shape. And baseball, you don't run as much, but football and basketball still help me in the baseball area.
I think it translates a lot because in the football, at least for me, I'm passing every play or almost every play.
Right.
And I mean, in the basketball court, you got to be able to see the floor. So I think I've seen a lot of improvement in that area of my basketball with playing
Absolutely.
football.
Distribution in both sports is something that's a key in that whole thing.
Yeah, I think I've seen improvement there.
And Coach, I'll ask you. And a lot of times they said a lot of specialization these days in high school sports. You see guys. How do you feel about them playing different sports? Probably to the benefit for you.
No, I want our athletes to be blazers. I want them to do everything. High school is the one time in life when you actually have enough time that you can do everything and even be somewhat successful at all of it. And I really think over the years, as I've had guys that were stars for me, that maybe they go play another sport because their buddy, they need some numbers in that sport, and they show up and they do it, and they're not the star there. They're the reserve. But they get a new perspective. They come back to me better.
Right.
Without on that and that's a big part of the game. What kind of team they are, what kind of teammate they are. I mean, I want our kids to be on great teams. Great teams usually win games, and winning is definitely fun. But I've been on some teams that won games and they weren't fun to be on, and I've been on some teams that lost a lot of games where it was great guys that circumstances weren't good for winning, but it was an awesome team to be on. And I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do as a school, as an athletic program.
I totally agree. And a lot of times success in one sport leads to success in another thing, because success breeds success. That's always been the way. Yeah.
Well, and I want to, I don't know, 75-80% of the basketball team is on the football team.
Right.
And so Kevin gets a late start. He and I working together. He's done a lot of stuff early to prepare for that. But like they learn things there. They hear things from him. They apply things from me. They come. It's great. And I will tell you, this was. I had multiple parents and other administrators come to me and say, "Hey, our kids on the basketball court they're just tougher, on the soccer. Like it's just the whole." And I would even argue that the girls' sports have seen a little bit of that.
Sure.
Like it's just there is just a toughness and a mentality. Hey, now yes, we're not some little school. We have football now.
Right.
We're are we a giant public school? No, we're never going to be. But it's a different mindset.
Absolutely right.
In that.
It definitely culturally it changes everything.
Yeah.
And from a recruiting standpoint, from a collegiate interest, is it harder to garner interest from schools as an 8-man program, whether it's sending guys like Ben to showcases or trying to get colleges to come watch the product? What is it like for you as a coach developing and recruiting interest with 8-man, obviously wanting to transition?
Yeah, this year, last year, I wasn't getting the college coach emails because we're just starting out. And the few that I got, I was like, well, hey, it's year one. Call me in a couple years. But this year there's actually been a fair amount more. And I think as we start to get on those lists and people realize that and go do that, it's still football. You got to block, you got to tackle. And there's less people to help you when you miss a block or a tackle. I mean, I can make an argument. Look, you want a quarterback gets the ball out fast? Well, take the tackles out of the game and let him learn.
It's right there in your face.
We competed in the SSAC 7-on-7 tournament. You get 4 seconds to throw the ball, and I'm just laughing. There's no 4 seconds in 11-man football, let alone in 8-man. So I think that, and I think a lot of the recruiting is guys getting out. I mean, Ben went and competed at a big nationwide quarterback camp competition with the National Football Academies, which I love, and I think that kind of stuff gets them out there. We got guys, if they want to play football in college, I don't think anyone's going to look at it and be like, oh, you only played 8-man. I don't see that.
No, if you're talented, they're going to find you. That's how it works in all everywhere now with social media and everything else. They find that player. First game, August 18th against Geneva Classical Academy. What can we expect? Big crowd.
I think there'll be a big crowd. They're a first year program, I believe. They were kind of a late ad because I would like to have that be not our first game.
Yeah, I got you.
8-man doesn't do scrimmages, so it's just here we go, and so it'll be flying blind because we'll just go out. I'll probably have some idea what they're going to do, but I would expect that we'll score a lot of points one way or the other, so I think that'll be fun. And but we got to. we did the coaches poll in 8-man. We were 7th, which I thought, hey, your second year, that's pretty good out of 30. And we have 3 teams on our schedule that are ahead of us in that. So, there'll be some big games, some opportunities there. So it's going to be a good year.
John's been touting all the smaller schools. You said that the atmosphere is always fantastic. So, got to let everybody know that come out and watch some really good 8-man football and go see you guys play.
Yeah, it's a great time. I love going to the games and seeing these guys throw it around, having some cool highlights, and that's what it's about. At the end of the day, it's just having fun. That's what football is. Family aspect. You have the smaller communities out there and enjoying the games. And SES does it right. So.
I appreciate it.
All right, Coach Spenn, we appreciate coming here. Guys, appreciate you being here as well. Good luck to you guys this season. Coach, thank you for being here, and look forward to hearing about all your successes this year.
All right.
And watching highlights on
SNN. Yes, sir.
No doubt.
We appreciate you guys and all you do for covering high school sports and athletics in general. So.
No doubt. We appreciate that as well. With that, we'll be back here shortly with more Suncoast Gridiron Media Day. See you shortly.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
Welcome back to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day. I'm going to get it right one of these days.
Well, that's all right. It's easy for you to say.
John Reynolds, John Musoni, and we're joined by assistant head coach for Palmetto, Matt Braselton, and he's brought some great guys with him. So tell us who we got with us today.
Yeah, first we got senior wide receiver Rock Lodge, kind of our do-everything. Plays the wide receiver position. We'll play running back. We'll do some special team stuff for us. Next we got senior DB Isaiah Jackson, who has played everything at the safety position. We're running a new defense this year, and so he's played those safety positions. And last year for me, he played multiple positions. So both these guys are multi-tool players and do a great job for us.
Right.
So you guys were 6-4 last year.
Yes, sir.
Class 4S, or excuse me, yes, 4S and District 13 champs. Obviously transition with Coach Rashad West coming on board. What's it been like this offseason, kind of getting acclimated to his system, changing things up? Conceptually, are things the same? Are things a little bit different? What are we looking at?
Offensively, we're doing a lot more with these guys. Obviously, we got the players to do that. So he's doing the air raid offense, which allows these guys to get the ball in their hands quickly, vertically, to the side, up to, every which way you can think. They're such a challenge to defend during practice. So we know they're going to give opposing teams a lot of problems. Defensively, we've now switched to more of a 3-4 defense, and it allows Isaiah, frees him up to make a lot of plays in the run game as well as help defend, in the vertical pass and stuff, and he does such a great job for us that we really think he'd be able to do both.
And last year, you guys, first round of the playoffs, ran into Lehigh a little bit, but I know you guys you had a bigger goals than that. You guys have really been on the cusp a few times the last few years with the transition to Coach West and everything else. I would imagine you guys are just trying to keep that train rolling a little bit here.
Yeah, we shouldn't miss a beat. Listen, having Coach West, I knew we haven't had the chance to work together, me and Coach West. We've known each other for 15 years, great guy. So it's been almost a seamless transition, and we're so lucky to, be able to have Coach West with everything he's done at Lakewood Ranch and what they were able to do. And now he comes in with these guys and this much talent, and we're excited. We're excited. The Palmetto community is excited. He's really embraced the community. We did our spring game at the youth center over there and really brought the community out. Yep. And, first and foremost, we want to win a district title.
Right. That's how it starts. Right.
We have to win a district title. I think we've brought Palmetto over the course of these years to a point where it's district, and then we need to compete for a region. And then if we're able to win the region, go from there. But it's district title first, and then, go from there.
New classification last year with the 4S classification, smaller districts. Did you like the new way it was translated, or do you like the old way with the 8A, 7A classification?
There's pros and cons of each.
Yeah.
From a personal perspective, I think I've heard Coach Peacock mention it. I want to play the best.
Right.
Now,
right.
Because of where we're aligned, and you have to go through a Venice or Lakeland per se to win it all, I don't think we're really missing a beat. As you know, previously, we lost some close games in the semifinals to eventual state champion Miami Central.
Right.
And so, there's no fear of playing those teams, because once you get to that level, you got to go through the best. But from our perspective now having to go through Venice or Lakeland, and Venice has beaten the Miami teams, I don't think it's any different. Heck, it may be even more difficult in some aspects.
Yeah, and I think the concept was maybe because of the amount of championships that weren't won by the suburban schools. I get the concept, but you're right. You are playing. Eventually you're gonna get there. You're gonna play one of the top teams in the country.
And to answer the district component of it, Manatee's always been a fierce rival of Palmetto,
Right.
that Cross River rivalry. You know what I mean? And so now it's essentially, or it was last year, we'll see how this year plays out, it was for the district title.
Right.
So now you throw that bone into it, that rivalry just gets way more intense, which is great for these kids.
And I was going to ask you that too, because that's been it was never a district game. It was always a rivalry, but now it has bigger ramifications than it had before. And I'm sure these guys will attest to it. There's bragging rights, plus there's all kinds of other things that go along with it. It's a fantastic rivalry, and it always has been.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, we have and these guys know, they have the big golden football. It's the Cross River Rivalry Championship. So there's all sorts of material and then stuff to go with that, accolades, whatnot.
No doubt.
And what's it like working in lockstep with Coach West? Obviously, you're from the previous regime, but you're working with him, establishing a new culture, trying to work things out. What has it been like working with him and seeing his transition to the new program? And what has it been like for you helping him along that way and working similar-minded, try to help Palmetto?
Speaking previously, Coach Marino, obviously, everybody knows his resume. He did a great job. With Coach West coming in, he has a heck of a resume. Again, what he did at Lakewood Ranch, I don't think people understand how difficult that was or is. So, again, with him coming in, working hand in hand with him, it's been a seamless transition. Obviously, he does a few things different here or there, but I think football's football. All these coaches here want to instill discipline. Yep. You know what I mean? They want commitment. They want guys that want to work hard. And at the end of the day, if you do that, no matter how you do it, and you get guys collectively to work together, you're going to have success.
And what do you see from new quarterback Clayton Dees? Obviously, he was with Coach last year at Lakewood Ranch. You guys have had some talented quarterbacks in the past. And what is it like seeing him develop the arm talent that he has and seeing him mesh with the new guys you got?
Yeah, I mean, Rock can probably attest to that more since I'm on the defensive side of the ball. But just watching the kid spin it, and man, he can play. And I think he's very underrated until you see him in person, what he can do with his feet.
Mm-hmm.
We found that out last year. You know what I mean? I watched him. We scouted him play versus Manatee. And he's a D coordinator's nightmare, because he makes all the right reads. He can make every throw. He understands Coach West's system. Great kid, smart kid, savvy kid. And then just when you think you got him, he runs for 12, 15 yards, and he moves the chains.
That's frustrating. It definitely is.
And I will ask you, Rock, what are your opinions, obviously, playing with Clayton, seeing how obviously, from one quarterback to the next, it can be different, whether how they deliver the ball to you or just kind of the relationship you have.
Yes, sir.
One, working with him, what's it like? And two, also, there's been some changes in that receiver room the last few weeks for you guys. Taking a leadership role, what is it like for you, taking that step up for you?
Taking a leadership role, I'm really trying to have all my receivers together. Working with Clayton, Clayton's a nice person. He came in, he stepped in the Palmetto offense, and he's really leading the team. I'm really excited what he's going to do this season. We're just wishing on the best.
And then for the defensive side over here, obviously, you're probably familiar with Coach Braselton, what he wants to do. But from the defensive standpoint this year, we talked about before, you're kind of a jack of all trades in that secondary. You're going to you're Mr. Versatile. You're going to do whatever is needed. What do you bring to the table this season, and what do you see from the defense so far in the offseason?
What I see from the defense is a bunch of young guys. I really trust them. There's a lot, and just me personally, I think I could do it all. I could play down safety. I could play up top. I get out. I'll come off the edge if you need me to. Just like I could miss versatile, like you said, and a bunch of young guys, like I said, and I'm looking forward to what they're bringing to the table.
Now, I'm sure you guys, you can hold the back front if you want to. You guys practice against each other. You got good offense, good defense. How does that help you guys? Do you feel like you're getting better every day in practice?
Yeah.
You're playing against such good competition.
Iron sharp as iron.
That's it.
Yeah, like every day, it's always competing, like always highest level. Like this my guy, and he's great, and I love competing against him. It makes me better, and I know I make him better. So
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Sometimes you don't realize you might be playing the best guy you ever play against in the practice field.
Yeah,
and that's when you're getting better. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I like to piggyback on that.
Go ahead. Come on, step up.
At Palmetto, it's really competitive. It's like, that's like most one of the competitive schools. Like everything we do is we competing. It's like a pride thing with us. So we really iron sharpens iron. Like I said, he's a great defender. I'm a great offensive player, and everybody's trying to get everybody better.
That's
on
good.
the same page. And once we're off the field, we're all brothers and family. When we're on the field, we competing. And everybody knows that.
Like I said, when you're playing against another team and you're saying to yourself, "My gosh, I can do this because he made me better."
Yes, sir.
And that's when you build
what it's
that trust and that culture. That's
Yes,
good.
sir.
It's really good.
And what is we've asked each of the coaches, obviously, getting guys from colleges to come in and get eyes on the program. What's the recruiting trail been like since Coach West has taken over? Obviously, I'm sure you're maybe helping in that regard. What's it been like getting colleges out?
I think the foundation has been laid prior because of the amount of games we've won, and we've won those games thankful to a lot of those great players we've had. So these guys will tell you they were getting pulled out of class left and right. We get 70, 80 schools, and I'm sure the Venices, the Rivers, man, they know where to go. They know where the talent's at. If you're going to consistently win games in this county and in this area, the colleges are going to come.
Right.
Because that means you got players.
Right.
You got players. And just to speak on these guys real quick, the reason they're able to be, as Mr. Versatility, multi-tool players, both these guys are 3.0 and above student athletes, and we harp on that. And they're able to take, their study habits and their knowledge of everything they do in the classroom and apply those great habits to football in the film room. And they're really students of the game as much as they are students in the classroom.
You can't play unless if you have the academic side taken care of. And I
Correct.
think a lot of times, not the kids and coaches, but sometimes you have to remind the parents sometimes. Say, hey, this is really important because if there are goals beyond this, this is the criteria you have to make. There's no doubt about that. The athleticism is great, but it's the other side that really has to be played out.
And we try because we want our parents to know. We don't want anybody not knowing.
Right.
We put it out on social media. Coach West has had parents meetings. You know what I mean? We'll put it on Facebook. We'll put it on Twitter. We will do whatever we can so they know the importance of their child being a student athlete. Not only if they want to play at the second level, just graduating and being a productive member of society, because football ends for us all.
Right.
Now, if you're Tom Brady, it takes a long time, but it still ended. So you have to have goals and aspirations past this game.
Absolutely right. You're no doubt about it. August 18th, first game. I guess it's a kickoff classic against CAI. I always say CIA.
That has since changed,
It
guys,
has.
because of a little hang-up, I think, in the field thing.
Okay.
I hope I can officially speak on that. We are now going to St. Pete Lakewood,
Okay.
which is just as formidable.
Oh, heck yeah. So I was going to say, having that game to get you started, is that one of those let's test ourselves early kind of scenarios, or just like I said, you play the best you can play at that point?
Yeah, so I think when the CIA thing fell through, Coach West wanted to find a really good opponent, and we knew we couldn't play at home where you're losing that gate. Now he has to put his head coach hat on, and the AD,
Right.
they all get together. You don't want to travel to Orlando Jones or wherever. So St. Pete Lakewood had an opening up there. So why not? Palmetto's played St. Pete Lakewood quite a bit over the past few years, but these guys just played them last year.
Okay.
So they know what they bring to the table.
Right.
And we know what they bring. So it was like, how can we get a good test, early and find out where we're at? Well, when we found that, obviously he jumped on it. He made that, schedule change, which is great for us. We were going to get tested on every end of the field. And so we're looking forward to that opportunity because Corey Moore, he does a great job up there.
Perennial power, no doubt.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by and bringing the guys with you. We wish you all the success this year, and we'll definitely stay in touch with you and Coach West and maybe have you back on 941 Sports Zone.
no doubt.
No doubt. Well, I just want to say we appreciate you guys not only doing this for us, but for the whole area. I think it's big because it puts a spotlight on those guys.
Yeah, and that's what we
all
want.
these kids deserve it. You know what I mean?
They sure do.
We appreciate it.
No doubt. We appreciate that.
All right, Coach, thanks for stopping by. We'll have more after this from Suncoast I'm going to get it wrong every time. Suncoast Gridiron Media Day. All right, we'll be right back.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
Here at Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023 at Douglas Jeep, and we now bring in head coach of the Southeast Seminoles, Brett Timmons. Coach Timmons, thanks for being here. And last year's record 1-8. I'm sure not what you wanted to have for the season, but I know you're building on some stuff there, and I know you've got your eyes on the district championship this year for sure.
Definitely. Thank you guys for having us. Thank you for doing this. 1-8. It was a perfect storm. We had 2 quarterbacks who hadn't played quarterback before, trying to play quarterback. Lost my defensive coordinator the day before we started fall practice. just a whole lot of different adversities that we faced last year. But I
Not to
think those things will make
mention
us
a
better.
hurricane.
Yeah, hurricane.
Yeah.
A lot of different things, man. But through adversity, it develops character, and we found out who we were. Fortunately, we hadn't had a lot of kids leave the program. We still sent some kids off to college, even with that 1-8 record. So even though on the field productivity wasn't great, it's the off the field stuff that was good for us as well.
Right.
And you mentioned those 2 kids last year under center learning the position. Are those same kids in the program, or we got new faces, new guys playing the position? What's kind of the outlook?
I don't know, man. The high school transfer portal is portaling. We lost Noah. Noah's at Booker now, which we'll see week 2. He and a kid, DJ, they're at Booker now. Tuda, Tarquez Thomas is back. So see what he can do in the fall. Saw what he did in the spring. We're gonna look at some other guys, Marquise Carter, Ryan Simmons, just for some competitions. Have some in case something happens to Tuda. But as of right now, man, we're just trying to lock in and get ready for Monday, and hopefully see what happens with us.
And building off of last year, obviously, as we mentioned, didn't go how we wanted it to go. What was the first kind of building blocks this offseason? What did you want to attack first? What was the point of entry? What do we want to look at first?
The biggest thing for us, honestly, is to not get distracted by what is going on around you and staying focused on what we have and what we're trying to build. I think comparison is the thief of joy. And with social media and everything around, you start looking at this place and looking at that, and you start to kind of like lose focus on what you have and what you're building. Like Rome wasn't built in a day, and I think as a society we've gotten so, I don't know, I don't use the word complicit, but we want things to happen now, but we don't understand you can't be a butterfly without being a caterpillar first.
And that's the truth, because like I said, that you have to build a culture. You have to build a buy-in situation for the players. I mean, nowadays you're competing on campus for athletes that are going to play other sports in a lot of cases.
Correct.
We talk about the sort of the singularity of what high school athletics come into. Some of the kids that we talk to are 2 sports athletes, but that's not the case in a lot of ways.
Correct.
So you've got to go out there and convince that guy, hey, man, come play football. I know you're a great basketball player,
Right.
or maybe something, but try to do that. And so it's tough. And then like you said, I like the way you put the high school transfer portal in some way. Sometimes you're like you're battling that and other entities, and then building that culture is what's necessary to kind of fend that off.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's a different world, right? Than what I came up in, and some of probably the guys in their mid 40s, that in 30s. Have experienced, and it's just navigating that, right, and understanding that as a coach, okay, what do we have? And so that's what I tell my coaches, like our number one job is to recruit our kids and to make that experience the best experience that they possibly have. So no matter what that 1-8 record or a 12-0 record is, that those kids and those families feel that I'm having the best possible experience, that my coaches care about me beyond what I can do for them on the football field, but that they actually are they're actually trying to be transformational and just not transactional with me.
Southeast goes way back, obviously. Before there was the Lakewood Ranches and the Braden Rivers and all the other schools that have come since then. They go way back. Do you try to pull into that tradition, into that of that time, or do you sort of say like, hey, it's 2023 and this is the version of Southeast we're doing here?
No, we try to remind them of the past and for which they've come from, and why when teams beat us Southeast, why they're giddy and happy, because in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s they were taking butt whippings from Southeast. So it's like, yeah, I finally got them. But the thing is that most of these kids weren't even born.
Right.
And they have no recent history to this. So I can say it and they can fall on deaf ears. Peter Ward, Adrian Fears, all these guys, and it's like, okay, yeah, cool. But like, what is it now? And so my challenge to them is who's going to be the one to put numbers on the board? Because I think the last number on that board is 2013 or 2013.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm like, who's going to do that? So our whole thing is like, how are you going to be remembered? What is your legacy? How are people going to talk about you? Like, it's going on 30 years or whatever since, we won our first state championship, and people are still talking about that.
Right.
And I'm like, I've been out of high school for 30 years, bro. Like, when are you guys going to make people talk about you?
Right.
And that's it. The standard has already been set. The standard is the standard. It is up for every individual, coaches, community, administration, and all to meet or exceed the standard. And that's simple.
And when you talk about guys putting up numbers and making their own history, you guys are testing yourselves right out of the gate. Obviously, we mentioned Newsome's Kickoff Classic, but then you said beforehand you guys got Riverview on the road first week, then you got Booker at home. Is it just putting your feet to the fire and see if we can work this out, or are we just trying to test them early, or what was the mode behind that?
Listen, my whole thing is the way I grew up and, growing up on the east side of Braselton is if you want to be the man, you face the man. I got guys that feel like they're Division I recruits. Well, at the time before he transferred to Venice, I'm like, well, you arguably about to go up against the best corner in the nation. So, prove yourself. There he is. If you catch 2 or 3 balls on him, hey, put that on your highlight tape. Like, hey, that's the number 1 corner. I just did that. Like, so we're not going to run from competition, never going to run from competition. Like, that's not how I'm built, and that's not how the school's built. And we're only going to get better by facing those type of competition, because Port Charlotte's not a slight, Braden River's not a slight, parish in our district. So these are all things that's going to prepare us for what really matters is our district, and hopefully, we win our district, that we can get into the playoffs and do what we need to do.
It's, your 3S District 13. You mentioned the teams in your district. Obviously, we talked about those are all newer schools compared to what Southeast was, and so I would imagine that looking at the schedule and saying, okay, we got to attack those schools first. I mean, that's got to mean if you win any and you win 3, those 3 are the ones that you're going to, and then
Definitely.
but then you have the goals are real at that point.
Correct.
So I'm sure that you're putting emphasis on that.
Definitely. It's everything. It's a milestone, right? So against Riverview, right? Last time I played Riverview, I think we lost 9-5. Maybe 2 years ago down there, Riverview in the Ram Bowl. But we've had really great games. I've had really great games against Josh when he was at ODA and I was at Cardinal Mooney. When he was at Cardinal Mooney, I was at ODA. And it's just good competition. Scott Littles is doing a great job at Booker, which is another great opportunity for us. And we go against IMG White, which is very similar to some of the teams that we're going to face in our district.
Yeah.
So it's a plan, it's a process, and all we just need is everybody just to execute the plan and the process.
On field, any key players, leaders on the team you're looking forward to showcasing this year?
Honestly, everybody, and not just a few guys. I mean, it's going to take a total team effort to do that. We have to understand that sticks in a bundle are hard to break.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to not let, again, outside distractions and outside influences pull us apart and allow us to splinter. It's not the wolf that's in the pack that gets killed. It's the lone wolf, that gets killed.
Right. No doubt. And like I said, that's all with all the off-season workouts. I'm sure that's the culture you're trying to breed there, because that's where it all sort of starts. It starts in the weight room. It starts in the classroom. It starts in all those places, and that's where and eventually that build will go to
Yes,
on
sir.
the field.
Yes, sir.
And my last question for you, we mentioned Peter Warwick, Edgar McPherson, guys of the past, a culture that was established, a winning culture that was established 30-plus years ago. What's the first step in trying to rebuild that? Obviously, that's the end-all, be-all. The end goal is to kind of get back to the roots of what Southeast was. What are those first initial steps you take with guys that maybe are new to the program or just, like you said, aren't aware of the past and aware of the history that's been made?
Honestly, what it is that we have the talent. For us right now, it's just mental, right? It's guys got to believe it. Because they haven't tangibly touched it or seen it. Like, so the culture that you had at Venice, right? So it took time, right, with Nick and all that. Mm-hmm. And what happens now is that when those guys step on the field at Venice, they don't hope to win. They expect to win, right? We're still in that hope stage where we hope to win. Well, if something bad happens, we kind of go in a shell. Like, it's not that mental toughness and fortitude. It's like, hey, man, we've been in tougher spots before. we can go. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like if you look at our state championship teams, that first 15-0 team, we were down every game in the playoffs, and we came back and won.
Yeah.
Every game. We were down in the state championship game, and we came back and won it. You know what I mean? So it's that refuse to lose. It's that thing that I guess Angela Duckworth calls it grit, right? And that's kind of what we're missing right now is that grit. We got to find that grit. We got to find that blue collar, roll your sleeves up. I don't care what you do to me. Like, you're not going to break me. You can't break me because I'm going to take what you have.
Because sometimes you match talent versus talent, but it's the guy who got that grit
Correct.
who's going to win.
Correct.
You know, so that's the edge that you need to have.
Correct.
And that's 100% right.
Correct.
Well, you've convinced me.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And like I said, so like I said, I know what's going to obviously what you just said and how you're building this thing. I think you're going to be on your way real
Thank you.
quick
I appreciate
with
it.
that for sure. With that, I want to thank you, Coach Timmons. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to following your team all year this year, and,
Yes,
and
sir.
hopefully we'll see good things for coming out of Southeast.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That was Coach Brett Timmons, Southeast Seminoles. We appreciate him coming out here, and we'll be back shortly for another version of our interviews for the Suncoast Media, whatever I just said.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on the new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in the new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
Welcome back to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day here at Douglas Jeep in Venice. John Reynolds, John Musoni with you. Now we're joined by the Classical Academy of Sarasota's head football coach, Matt Favero. Coach,
Hello.
thank you for joining us today. First question for you. Who we got rocking behind us?
All right, we've got our starting middle linebacker / age tight end, Carter Summers on my right, your left, Alaric Dong, defensive end and running back, Josh Slayball, O-line, D-line, and Liam Kelly, kicker, punter, wide receiver.
And we talked to Sarasota Christian earlier. Obviously, you guys are in the SSAC in the 8-man game. Tell me about the growth you guys have made this offseason, what we're looking to go into this season with, and some of these guys going to make some big plays for you.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. As probably Jacob at SEHS said, it's a different game. It's fun. Great. If anyone hasn't seen 8-man, I highly encourage coming out and watching it. It's a fun brand of football. But yeah, the last season was our first year like SEHS, and we learned some lessons. We did all right. I think for a first-year program, I'll take what we put out there. This year, we're not having to learn those same mistakes. So we're not having to make those same mistakes. We have to learn those lessons. So that's been the biggest thing. It's just a comfort level with these guys that, okay, we're football players now. Games aren't going to get, eyes aren't going to get big during the games and things like that. They seem cool, comfortable, collected. I think blocking and tackling is the biggest thing for us. If we can block and we can tackle, we'll win games.
And you guys 5-8 last season.
Yep.
You got a couple wins in the playoffs. What was
Mhm.
that like for you guys to experience that first year and obviously get the excitement going about the program?
It was great. It was great. I mean, for our first year in the SSAC, it went about as well as I could hope. Not a single guy on our roster last year had played any football before last season. So they're learning how to hit 18-year-old guys instead of, pee-wee football where you're hitting some 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. So, no, I think, the grit shined through. That's what we kind of build our program on is grit. And, we're going to go all 12 rounds in a fight with you. And I think through the playoffs, they showed that. They showed that we're going to go 12 rounds each game. And if you can take it, we'll tip our cap to you. But
You mentioned how coming out and watching 8-man football is fun. So you're spreading it out a lot, throwing the ball around a lot, or what's your philosophy as far as offensively as that goes?
Yeah, no, we are not. We're not doing that.
Okay.
We're not averse to the pass. We got 1-6 here who can go up and get it. So we like throwing to him a lot. But no, we're a run-based team.
Okay.
Our biggest thing in 8-man is so the where it gets kind of interesting with 8-man is you can run essentially the same type of gap zone, whatever you want to do in 11-man. You just got to get creative with it. So instead of having a standard left guard pulls, if you want to do a GT type counter where you have your guard and your tackle pull, instead of just that guard pulling, you might pull an H or a jet receiver, someone like that.
All right.
So we're gonna establish the run. I mean, our goal when we get out on that field is we're gonna run it right at you and see what you do with it. And if you can stop it, okay, we might have to play left-handed, but we're gonna challenge you early to make tackles.
Good. I mean, and that's really the basis of most football is this is the line of scrimmage, and if you can establish that, no matter if it's 3 or 5 guys across the line, you're going to be able to do that as well. So I was wondering if that would be philosophically that 8-man had just become sort of like that, toss it around, or you but in your case, you're saying no, we've decided to be
in our league. Most teams are pretty run heavy.
Okay.
Most teams are running. I mean, we have probably 10 out of the 30 teams running a wing T type look. Which is pretty heavy in the run. So Jacob, I know at SES, they like to air it out, and they're very good at what they do. But for us, we just fundamentally believe if we run the football, we're going to control the game. So that's what we're going to do.
And you mentioned you're run heavy, run first. So do we have a barn full of bell cows? Do we got a couple balls of energy? I know this guy back here you said was a running back.
Yep. So we kind of Swiss Army knife. We got a quarterback who played running back for us last year, Sam Nolt, and he was over 1,000 all-purpose yards everywhere. Probably our biggest playmaker. He plays quarterback, and so we really kind of slash and hit. Like as soon as you kind of load up to try to stop this guy in the B gap, we'll take it outside. We'll read you. We have some option stuff just to keep you honest. And then, like I said, we will throw it. Like if you put 7 guys in an 8-man game in a box, we'll toss it over your head. But we do want to establish that run.
And a question for any of the guys who want to answer. What has your experience been like so far in the 8-man game at Classical Academy? And what's kind of, you guys, what are you mixing up for this year? What are you excited for?
1-6? Oh, sorry. You got to get a lot closer.
Okay. Doesn't reach that far. I mean, 8-man is new to us, but we got a great coach. I feel like we're done with learning, like, the basic, like, how to block, how to tackle. Last year was, like, drinking out of a fire hose. We're learning everything. This year it's like, all right, we know what we're doing. We're ready to come out and make some plays this year.
Awesome. And I know you said you got a ball of energy back here. I want to ask him a question,
all right.
Mr. Running Back. So
you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay.
I think
all
so.
right. Just making sure.
I think so. So tell me about the excitement you've experienced with Coach and the program, and obviously the growth from last year to now, and what you expect from yourself moving forward.
I expect a lot of. It's going to be hard. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a lot of dirt. We don't have a big team, so we have to get. It's going to get really challenging. So we have to manage both the time and a lot of our energy that we put out on the field. But I think we've got it, and I'm really excited for the season, and I think we're going to do really well.
That is the calmest he's ever been in his life. So congratulations.
And
good job, Donnie.
All you guys, are you in other sports other than football, or are you guys just strictly football players at this point?
Yeah, I also play basketball in the
Okay.
winter then, and I also played some volleyball in the spring, but football is my main sport.
Gotcha.
Sure.
And for all you guys, different sports too?
Soccer.
Yes, soccer.
And then he's my football guy right there.
Strictly football.
That's our
All
middle
right.
linebacker.
Okay. And like I said, because I know a lot of times that, we talk to different coaches, and most every coach has been on today has said, hey, no, we want them to be multi-sports if they can do that, because one tends to lead to success in the other because they learn different skills and whatnot. They all apply to each other in some ways.
I'm a firm believer in that. I don't want my guys just focusing on that. I want them playing basketball. I want them doing track. And anything that's going to keep them going and moving, I like that.
Yeah, especially at this age as well. There's a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know football's hard, and summer practices are just, it's hot. We all know how hot it is out there. But to sort of have yourself to focus on something all the time is probably a good thing that they're able to do all that and play different sports and do it all year.
Yeah, our school gives them that opportunity. With us being a smaller school, we're only 10 years old. An upper school 7th through 12th enrollment of 170 something kids.
Right.
So our athletes got to kind of play everything. Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
And from a growth standpoint, from last year to now, have we seen more guys join the team? Have we been giving out more jerseys, more players to work with? Has there been an exponential growth from your?
We've had like a youth movement. We've got a lot of young guys, so they're going to have to develop quick. It's essentially the same crew from last year. That's going to go out. We got a couple. We lost a couple, graduated a couple, and then we have a couple now that aren't playing. But this crew right here, I feel we almost have gained 10 years of experience when it comes to no one ever playing before to playing 10, 13 games total last year. I mean, it's a world of difference. Football practice feels like football practice. It's not, a tackling clinic. It's football practice. So it's nice.
And are you guys garnering the same attention from college as an 11-man team? What I asked Coach Spenn the same thing, and he said it's kind of been a gradual growth. Guys going to showcases or growing just year to year. Have you seen collegiate interest grow?
Definitely grow. But when there's nothing, one or two schools being interested is we're doubling, we're tripling overnight. So Liam here is a phenomenal kicker. He was our all-state kicker in the SSAC. And so, he's had a couple recruiting visits and things like that. So that's been very great for him. And just the normal letters you'll receive from schools, just things like that, people checking in. So it's been, I'd say 11-man, it's definitely more apples to apples. Recruiters have a lot more questions, especially even with his experience in kicking. 8-man, it's hard. That edge is right there. So if you want to get that kick up, you got to block it well and go quick.
That's a challenge. I thought about that. I was going to say that's definitely a challenge. You're not getting that guy have to come wide. He's coming right at you at that point.
Yep. Yeah, it proves difficult.
And a question for you then, obviously you mentioned how it's a lot of guys right there on the edge, but you guys aren't doing kickoffs either. So just as a kicker, them going off of your tape, just extra points or field goals, what's that like for you? Obviously you want to transition to the next level if that's your hope to play kicker. How do you gauge the impact of not ever having kickoffs in a game, but maybe a college recruiter is interested in that?
Yep.
Yeah, not having kickoffs isn't it's not ideal for film purposes. You can still get a lot of work done on your own in practice. There's a lot of good film you can get out of that. And going to showcases and going to, camps and stuff, you get plenty of chances to do kickoffs. There's always film at those. So you got plenty of opportunity to show off your leg and let them see what you can do.
And nowadays, if there's a talented player, they're going to find him.
Oh, yeah.
They'll know where to get him all the time. Real quick, your first game against Liberty Christian on the 18th of August. Kickoff starting point, looking forward to that, and then how's the rest of the season look for us as well?
Definitely looking forward to that. It's funny, we've had I don't know how many teams. I want to say it's about 8 to 10 new teams join. So you just don't know what you're getting. You're getting some 6-man teams in the Gainesville area that are joining. You're getting some brand new teams. So Liberty Christian Prep's one of those. We played SCS in our first game last year, and so no one had any tape. No one knew anything about anybody. So these games have a tendency to be a little bit of a wild card game. You don't.
Right.
You could have a team that wants to get up and toss it 100 times. You get a team that's trying to run downhill. You don't know what you're getting. So I think our guys are excited. I think we get to put on pads next week. That they're chomping at the bit to do that. I think the biggest thing for us all year, if there is a theme, it's going to be that grit theme for us. And so as I look at our schedule, we have teams that are going to challenge us like we play at SCS this year. They're going to challenge us with the ball in the air. Let's go 12 rounds with a team that wants to do that. And then on the other side, Donahue, who we played last year, they lost to Shorecrest in the championship game. Tom Kinnick's a great coach there. They're like us. They're going to challenge you into the A gap, into the B gap, and see are you going to stand toe to toe. So I think just the week to week challenge for our guys. I know they'll answer the bell, and so we're hoping to just execute well. Because I think if we execute, we'll make more plays than that other team will.
Well, if your success is based on your enthusiasm, then I think you're going to be just fine. No doubt about that.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by and bringing a few of your guys, and we're looking forward to the growth this year, and hopefully we'll have you back on sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for covering our program. Appreciate it.
No problem. All right, guys, we have more on the way right here from the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day after this.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on the new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in the new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with the new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals on hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And we're back at the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023 here at Douglas Jeep. And right now, our guest at the dais here is Braden River Pirates head coach Curt Bradley. Curt, we appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Last year's team, your record was 5-5. You guys are in the 3S District 13 district, I should say, District 13. and you guys were in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
How did you evaluate last year's season, and what do you think about going into this year as far as the year? What you built on last year?
Lost a couple close games that we thought we had a chance to win. Lost the district championship game to Port Charlotte, who was a really good football team. Close game with Manatee, but fairly successful season. I've been to the playoffs now 10 straight seasons, so looking to build off that going into this year and compete again for a district championship.
Yeah, you've been. Well, it's 10 years now. You've been at, or it's going to 11.
Going on 12.
Wow,
going on 12.
That's time goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah. Less hair, 2 new children, and so here we go.
No doubt. And I used to talk about your district, and obviously that's always the goal. I mean, you get that district championship, it gets you, that sort of launches you off. But getting into playoffs like last year, Sid, any players coming back from last year's team that you can lean on with that experience, and the guys are going to lead you into the playoffs this year? Yeah,
it always starts up front. Bring back a couple offensive linemen, a couple tight ends that we're excited about. Always trying to win the box. Feel like regardless of what level of football you're at, if you can win the box, you're going to be pretty successful. So bring back Cody Kowchek, who's a tight end for us, Elliot Parker, Brody Lind, a couple offensive linemen. Lucas Despo's our quarterback that was played kind of towards the end of the season for us last year, so he's back with us. And we have some younger guys looking to step into some big roles for us.
Gotcha.
And you mentioned Despo at quarterback, obviously played at the end of the year for you. What have you seen from this offseason to kind of grow into the position, give him a full season of games?
Yeah, we really challenged Lucas. Coach Sanders, who's been with the program here for 12 years as well, runs the offense, works really well with quarterbacks, but just really challenged him to physically prepare and get himself bigger and stronger for the season. The season starts in late July and can run through December, so it's a long time and can lose a lot of weight. So Lucas put on probably 10-12 pounds this offseason, increased his strength, and then just anytime you're in a program for a second year, you understand the offense better, kind of have a little more awareness as far as where the football needs to go and getting that thing out on time.
And one of the things that obviously helps a quarterback out is turning around and having somebody to hand it off to. I know obviously we've had some changes the last few weeks with Trayvon heading over to Manatee, but do we have anybody in the backfield this year that's going to make a big step and be kind of a security blanket, help Lucas out?
Yeah, we're going to have a couple guys that are going to be rotational guys through there. They're going to be able to carry the football for us, and kind of some dual role guys that'll do some different things on offense and defense. Marcus Galloway's one, Joshua Edwards, Ronan Dangler's going to be a linebacker that will carry the football for us as well. So,
you did 12 years at Braden River. What's the biggest change you've seen in those 12 years on the field? Like as far as offense, defense, special teams, what do you say? Hey, it wasn't like that 12 years ago.
That's a good question. I think 7-on-7 was always a part of football, something we always practiced, even when I was in high school. But the advancement of all the 7-on-7 in the off season has kind of made this a game that's played more in space. Balls thrown around, whether it be short passes outside screens or, more vertical passing game. So I think more teams have a more sophisticated passing attack. In high school, it's not always easy to find 6-7 linemen, so getting in there. We've been fortunate enough to have some good linemen. We're going to have a really good offensive line and some really good tight ends that can do some things for us, which is things that we always like to have. Going back to 2015, we had Ryan Newsel, who was a tight end for us that played college football at App State. He's actually now on the Falcons as an offensive lineman. So that is something that over the course of time, the game's more spread out. There's less people in the box, and it's a little more finesse, I guess you would say.
Yeah, you're right. And it is a lot. It's a lot of this very nuancy with certain things. And back in the day, you line them up and you butt heads and tougher guy won. And nowadays, it seems like you're right. It is on the edges a little bit more than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody used to have a tight end. Now we're one of the not few teams, but it's not common for a lot of people to have tight ends, and we're excited about the ones that we have.
Right.
And obviously, building upon your schedule this year, what are some of the games early out of the gate what you guys are going to test yourself with, and what are we looking at? How do we think about the schedule this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got Palmetto week 2, obviously big rivalry with us, Lakewood Ranch, the proximity of that.
Right, real close.
Then you go Manatee, Booker, Port Charlotte. I mean, that's a tough opener with that stretch there. Got a bye, and then we still have the back half of the schedule with Charlotte and Parrish, Southeast, Robinson, So I mean, we've got a very tough schedule. You know, our enrollment, we were at 2,100 a few years ago. Parish High School opens up, and we lose about 400 kids, so we're down to about 1,750.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of been a big fluctuation for us. So still trying to play some of the bigger schools, but also, you know, playing some schools that are our size as well.
That's what I was going to ask you too, because I know you guys were always sort of the larger schools, and now you're 3S. How do you like the SM classifications? Are you you play a tough schedule as it is anyway? Are you a guy who would rather play everybody, or what exactly is your feelings on that?
You know, being here for 12 years, I mean, there's kind of been the cyclical as far as the best teams out of Manatee or Sarasota County usually are competing somewhere deep in the playoffs.
Right.
And so,
right.
in my opinion, you know, if you're one of the better teams out of these two counties, you're going to be having a chance to play, you know, whoever is the winner of, you know, to get the state title. As far as, you know, it used to be Aquinas and those schools, and now
Right.
in our area now, you've got the Naples of the world that are, you know, and that are pretty, you know, strong schools. So you know, there are certain schools that in certain areas that do a pretty good job as far as in, you know, Dade and Broward of acquiring quite a bit of talent,
Right,
you know, and
right.
so there's give and take to both. But at the end of the day, like, you win your district, win the county, you know, or the surrounding counties, you know, moving on from that is going to be a really successful season.
Yeah, no doubt. That's always like I said. You propel yourself, because again, you look at your schedule. You named off what the first 5 games are all local schools.
Yeah.
Man, that was you named off. I'm like, those are 5 pretty tough games right there.
Yeah, we opened. I mean, Palmetto's week 2, so we opened Gainesville, but yeah, then you go Palmetto, Lakewood Ranch, Manatee, Booker, Port Charlotte. So yeah, that's it's a very, very challenging opening to our season, and we're excited about it. Our kids have had a great off season, and you know, we're ready for the challenge.
And you mentioned this 10 years you guys have been in the playoffs,
Yep.
correct? So is there like a secret sauce, I guess you could say, to making it an 11th, or is there a certain pressure you feel, or just a winning culture? Obviously, it's just the expectation.
Yeah, look, I mean, we started out losing our first 9 games in 2012, so went 1-9 that year, 5-4, and then 10-1, 13-1, and have been pretty successful moving forward with a couple dips here and there. But you know, look, we're excited about our program. We're not always out there beating our chest on social media, telling people how great we are, but the kids inside that locker room know what the expectation is. And we are, you know, we expect to be in the playoffs every single year and compete for a district championship. And if you're doing that, then, you know, you always have a chance moving forward out of there.
You mentioned Naples before. You know, they talk about good. There's a team that's sort of the counter to what we said about they're running like the Veer still down there, and that's a whole different level of you got to prepare. That's almost like preparing for the Air Force Academy or in college when you got to play against these teams that. How does that when you face one of those teams? You're like, my gosh, we're not used to this.
Yeah, 12 years ago, I mean, it's anytime someone's got 4 receivers, like, okay, guys, hey, this is totally different. Now it's anytime somebody's got a loaded box, you know, 11 guys within 5 yards of line of scrimmage, like, okay, we got to reset it. And the most difficult part is trying to prepare your guys for it with a scout team, because, you know, the scout team guys have a hard time, you know, lining up to run something like that. That's something that they've been doing down there for years and years and years, and they've got that thing perfected. And so that first drive, I mean, you get hit in the mouth real quick, and it's like, oh, okay, that's a little different animal.
8 minutes go by real fast when the ball never touches the ground, as far as the pass is concerned.
Yeah.
And obviously, you talked before the interview about you guys are getting ready to go into some 6 a.m. practices next week. What are you looking forward to the most about the guys strapping on the pads and getting ready for kickoff classics and games after that?
Not looking at a wet bulb thermometer or the lightning detector. Look, that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. We did this last year, and we actually got to the first game without missing any practices. You know, that's one of the most difficult things is the first week there's a lot of installation and those things, but the physicality is removed because of the acclimation period. So if you miss those things and then you're jumping into week 2 and week 3 is a game week, like you can't afford to miss practices and have to be sitting around waiting around for a lightning to clear or for a thermometer to tell you that it's safe to practice. So we get our guys up early, and let's be honest, these kids have been sleeping in all summer. So school starts the week after, so it's not a bad idea to get them up and going.
And you got the first kickoff classic again on the 18th against Leonard High School. So it comes fast. All of a sudden you do miss a few practices, and then you're like, we're kind of behind the 8 ball. It feels like when you miss a practice.
Yeah, I mean, look, the NFL goes back like this week, right?
Yeah.
And they're professionals. You would think they would need the least amount of time. They get the most, and then college gets more, and then high school gets the least amount. So you would think that It may be a little reversed, but that game week gets on us quick, and so you get a full week without school, and then you get a half week with school, and that's a whole, talking about girls and who's in their classes and trying to figure that out, and then the next week is like, hey, got a game, guys, like it's time to go.
Yeah,
so.
You're practicing, and you got to academically you got to get started again, and they like to change the start date from school all the time. It's 2 weeks forward, 2 weeks back,
No doubt.
and this year's a little earlier, so no doubt you're really you're thrown into the fry. I mean, Monday it's on. You're, like I said, on till December if that's where you end up.
Yep.
I just think I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play, man. You guys have a successful program, and I think 11 years of playoffs is definitely in the future, I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I said, I know that district. That's a good district too. I mean, from a fan perspective, that's the district to follow. You guys are all on the up, and I think that's going to be a pretty good one for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Before I go, I'd just like to thank all the coaches, the wives and loved ones of the coaches, because it's a long season for them too. Really, really thankful for them and the time and the sacrifice that they make, as well as the players and the parents of the players. So appreciate you guys for putting this on.
That's well said, because like I said, a lot of times that happens after the season, but to do it before the season, you got the one up on that one. That's a good one for sure. And that's one of the things too, with the parents and everybody, the time is put into football. It's something to be told, and being a father of young kids and everything else, I know it's a lot for you as well. So
yeah, no, my wife's a rock star. She 3 weeks ago tomorrow we just had our baby girl, so excited about that. So we're sleep is what it is at this point in time, but we're getting ready for the season, so I'm getting trained for that now.
So you might be up at 6 a.m. normally.
Look,
you're good.
6 a.m. is about the third diaper change at this point in time, so we're good.
No doubt. All right, Curt, we appreciate you coming by. Really do.
You.
Absolutely. That's Braden River Pirates head coach Curt Bradley. Appreciate him coming by here to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day. We'll be back here in a few minutes with our next team.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on the new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in the new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals on hot new wheels? Douglas does!
Welcome back to the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day here at Douglas Jeep in Venice. John Reynolds, John Musoni, now joined by the head coach of Charlotte High, the Tarpons, the Fighting Tarpons. This is
baby.
Coach Cory Mentzer. How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing good. Thank you for joining us, and tell us a little about this young man you got behind you.
This is the man in the middle on the defensive side. This is Damian Bloomfield. He's a senior. Great kid, great character, and this is the type of player every coach wants in their program.
And last year, obviously, didn't go the way you wanted it, but we're not going to dive too specific into that. But what are we building upon this year to make a better foot forward for the Tarpons this year?
Absolutely. Every time a new coach takes over, it takes a while to get character, standards, culture built. And add a Category 5 hurricane to the mix. Didn't make things any easier.
I've said it a few times. You nailed it, because I figured I said watch the guys from Charlotte say, because they've had to deal with it a few times, unfortunately. And you're right, because that was such a obviously a tragedy, to the South and everything else. But it was just hard to unravel that, because all of a sudden the season was just sort of stopped. And how do you get that momentum back? How do you know that everybody's okay at home, and all those things that go into that stuff? So I'm sure I had to deal with a lot of that.
I didn't see the players for over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I got a call on a Monday morning from my AD and said, hey, you're going to play your district pretty much championship game Friday night. So had less than 24 hours, get out texts, calls. I had players in Orlando. I had players everywhere to get them in. Took a cow trailer to one of the away games because our trailer blew over the fence. But, hey, despite all the adversity, like I said, we ended the year on a great note that carried into summer. And so far, we've had a great off season and ready to get the year rocking and rolling.
And you guys are 4S District 15. You got Ida Baker, Lehigh, and Riverdale in your district. I think you guys were sort of caught in that point system scenario last year, and I know Lehigh and Riverdale were the two teams that came out. But you guys were, when I saw that, you're 2-1 in the district, so I must have. do you guys I mean, obviously you don't really know how the points work exactly, or unless you are the one guy who can figure it out. But
back in the day, I could calculate. I had an Excel spreadsheet. I could do everything, but I have no idea what the state's doing now.
Right.
The points.
But again, so you had there was a positive to the, like I said, you were there, you were in the mix for everything. I think you're probably looking at a district championship here.
Oh yeah, that's definitely our goal, and make a deep playoff run. And we got a young team, but we got some great senior leaders, and we're going to see how far we can go.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, Charlotte, tradition rich, has been Binky Waltrip down there for all those years, and again they've had players come through that have been superstars at the next level and everything else. Besides your gentleman right here, who else can we look forward to seeing on the field this year?
Big man in the middle on offense, Hayden Anthony, 6'5", 300-pound offensive lineman, has a lot of interest in some offers from a couple schools. Then our utility guy, Brady Hall, he can do everything. Receiver, DB, running back. So he's the guy we'll just plug everywhere to make plays.
Gotcha.
So.
And then I have a question from the quarterback standpoint. I know Valentino was transferred out. Who we got under center this year that you're putting your confidence in?
So we had 3 quarterbacks all compete. We just actually came back from a Fellowship of Christian Athletes camp last week, which was a wonderful opportunity. Gave kids plenty of reps. Actually, 50 players came back saved. So it was a incredible thing as a head coach to see that. But actually the freshman, Logan Flaherty, came out of camp number 1. But I'm not the guy that says, hey, just because you're number 1 now, you're going to end number 1.
Right,
You need to keep competing. So the other 2 fell in line, and right now Logan's the guy, and we'll see how far he can take us.
And when you go to camps and things like that, and you're with a team, you're growing even more and more as a family outside, off the field, or whether on the field, either way. What is it like for coaches seeing your players grow maybe outside of your leadership, outside of your growth?
I had never taken a whole team, so we took 50 players, even some freshmen, to this camp. And just to see them bond, detach from their phones, their normal everyday life, just took the team really to a next level as far as a family. And as a head coach, it just made me very proud. I cried multiple times. We had some true open heart sessions where players talked about the adversity they've experienced growing up. And it just really made me happy inside to see the guys not only sharing with their teammates, but truly coming together as one.
So, question for you. Have you always been on the defensive side of the ball, or you are offensive guy as well?
Well, I just started last year. It's my second year ever of football.
Oh, okay.
And first I tried out as running back, but,
A big running back.
Yeah. But I found myself on the defensive side, and I love it. I don't want to play anything else.
And I'm sure that coach probably figured where your talents were going to be best utilized. And I guess so. All right. So now, second year football. What was the biggest surprise as coming out? To play football at this level. But what was one thing like I didn't expect that when you first started?
Well, I didn't expect a lot of things.
That's a good answer.
Adversity. You just got to get through.
Yeah.
Do our best.
As far as how it workouts for you, I mean, that's got to be something a little different because everybody sees the football game as it is, but the work that goes into it, we talk about, but all the programs that came out today, it starts very early, and you got to stay really focused on that. So the commitment must have been a lot too.
Yeah, I just showed up every day, gave everything I had, and
with that mentality, you're gonna be successful in everything you do if you do that stuff for sure.
Well, I'm going to brag on this kid real quick.
Okay.
Because, yes, he was in the hallways last year, walking around. I'm like, why are you not playing football? I mean, we're the biggest kid in the hallway. But this kid not only puts in the time, he lifts with the linemen, he goes out and runs with the skill, then he goes to work in the afternoon, and he pays for himself Ubers to get to and from practice. Wow. So, like I said, this kid, you will not find a better character, more driven kid in any program, and could not be more proud of the type of kid he is, because most kids see that type of adversity and they make excuses. Never once does he complain about anything. He shows up every day, smile on his face, works hard, and that's why he's the one I brought today, just to
And a question for you too, Mr. Man in the Middle. You're new to the sport. You're fundamentally learning the game. But Coach also talks about how high of a character player you are and how you're one of the senior leaders. When you're learning the responsibilities as a leader, but also learning the game, is it tough? Is it easier to maybe lean into the fact of your leadership ability, or are you still just letting your athleticism take over?
I just let my athleticism take over. And, you know, there's still a lot of things I need to learn, but it's all just in my head, you know? Just got to get through it and do what I got to do.
I'm gonna keep eyes on him. I'll have highlights of him for sure. He carries himself well. He sounds like he's a high caliber player, and he's rocking 3 chains like I've never seen nobody rock 3 chains before. So
and he has a over 3.5 GPA.
Okay, well maybe
So
we'll be in touch about
So I'll tell you, I'm sure you'll really agree with me as coach. This is what a lot of what football does for a lot of kids.
Mhm.
Okay, you know it sort of propels and perpetuates the character and the work ethic that really is going to make you successful in everything you do, because I think a lot of times there's a lot of talent. I mean, a lot of kids have talent, but when you have the work ethic to go with it, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit in anything you want to put yourself into, and I think football is a vehicle for that.
Yes.
A lot of ways people don't. The teamwork, the camaraderie, and of course, again, that push to work as hard as you can at anything and be there for the guy next to you is a huge advantage.
Oh yeah, it's
coming out.
all life skills.
Yeah,
getting him ready for his future.
Yep, and I think when you have someone like this who you know like you showing the way, how many more are going to follow suit?
Mhm.
You're going to leave a legacy behind you by doing that, and there are going to be more guys who want to do the same and ask you how to do it, and you say it's this what it is, and work hard, and you're going to get that stuff.
Absolutely.
And in terms of the schedule, are we testing ourselves early? Who do we got on the docket?
Oh, we
first couple
got
weeks?
the same schedule as last year. I think out of the 9 games we had last year, 8 of the teams were all playoff teams. 4 made it to the regional championship, or 3 of them. So hey, toughest schedule we've ever had. Binky, when I first scheduled, he goes, "What are you, stupid?" I said, "Bink," I said, "if you want to be the best, you have to play the best."
Right.
And you know, last year, coming in, you know, like I said, a lot of adversity, hurricane, this and that, but we were in a lot of those games that we ended up losing. This year, much younger team, great leadership, a lot of heart. You know, same teams we're facing. We'll see how we do. Like I said, sky's the limit. I can't come in here and say, you know, we're going to be a 7-3 team, 8-2 team, but we easily could, depending how this team and this group comes together.
And you don't seem like a person that really worries about pressure or expectation. You just seem like you want to go out there and lead you guys to a good time. But
my wife always says, you did not become a coach just to win games. You became a coach to change lives, be an impact role model for these kids. And I do everything I can for the guys like this and others. And when you do that and you're creating a true program, the wins will come.
Right.
But too many coaches, if you just focus on the wins, you have no substance, you have no foundation underneath it.
Your goals become singular as opposed to much more with a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And you're right. You say you build it right, you do it right, and then that's what it'll all of a sudden you say to yourself, well, how do we get to be 10-0?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's because that culture you built
Absolutely.
early on, and that's because that's the thing. You can try to rush and take shortcuts. It never works out that way, no matter what you do.
Or it may short term, but it's not going to sustain.
Right. What is this something you want to do for 2 years? Or you want to do it for for a career, or however it may be? And are you giving somebody some short term success and not giving them long term skills to be successful down the road? That's what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
And what's the collegiate scene been like for you guys? You had a lot of recruiters interested, and what's kind of been the path to set you guys up for success for next level?
You know, we had, like I said, him, Brady, Damian, they all currently hold offers. I think 1 or 2 more younger kids definitely that will pop up on some radars this year. We'll probably have up to 6 sophomores starting between the defense and the offense. But it's same old. I don't really, like I said, pay too much attention, because you could have every school come through your high school in America. That doesn't mean anything. I just want to get these guys in the best place that's for them, and I don't try to focus too much on the division, like, oh, D1, D2. Hey, a college education is a college education, and if it's free, it's for me.
That's exactly right. Because like I said, everybody says, oh, I want to go to this school. Listen, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, but if you get an education out of it, man, you've won. You won big time. That's for sure.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by. I think with the winning attitude you have and the players you have behind you, I think we'll see a lot of success for your program.
I'm excited for the Tarpons this year, that's for sure.
Thank you for stopping by, and we
You're welcome.
appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll have more after the break right here on the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day. Be right back.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month. Or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And we're here at the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023 at Douglas Jeep. And right now we're bringing in Northport Bobcats head coach Garen Belser. Garen, well, thanks for coming today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
And you've got some good-looking athletes standing behind you. Can you introduce them for us right now?
Oh, yeah. I'll start from left to right. Charles Pingree, he's a senior. Jason Lewis-June, another senior of ours. Isaac Smith, who's a junior. We have Omar Branch, another senior. And lastly, Patrick White, who's another senior.
Nice to see you guys. And Coach, well, last year you guys were independent, and we're not in a district or any of the 4 S's or 3 M's or whatever they got.
It's constantly changing.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, you had a plan. What was the plan in regards to that?
Well, going into my second season, we again, something I talked with our athletic director Tony Miller, is a 2-year independent plan to get us back on track and essentially try to recenter a program that's been off center for the majority of its 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, and I think that was the decision to do that probably was the right decision, the mature decision to say, hey, listen, let's restart this. Let's do right by the kids. Let's do right by the program and the community. Did you catch any backlash on that kind of stuff?
Not so much backlash, more of just typical questions you get from parents. Would this negatively affect their college ambitions if that's what they're choosing? Right. Things along that line. But I think most of the people in our community and our parent group understand what we were intending to do, and it's starting to become clear for them going into the third season after the progress that's seen behind the scenes. But making the decision, you kind of fight with your ego because you want to. Hey, we want everybody. We want Venice Riverview, all the big guys, but realistically, and you gotta do what's achievable.
Right.
Do
what's right.
Yeah, and we're. I think that was the right decision, and it's showing that it's been good for us.
Good.
And last year, obviously, didn't go the way you'd like it to, obviously, record-wise, or, obviously the hurricane came through and had a big deal with a lot of the issues that went on with the program and a lot of programs in the southern Charlotte County and all this area. But moving forward, moving past that, going into this year, what was the first building blocks this offseason to kind of remember last year but build off of that and turn a new page?
Well, I think it wasn't so much dwelling on, the negatives from the previous season. It's just putting it into perspective for them as they don't have to be defined by that previous group, because the biggest difference between this group, and this is mostly the leadership side of it, is there wasn't a lot of that in the locker room in the previous season, in my personal opinion, and I think it's showing more now. I think the accountability, we can preach all we want, but if you don't have the mouthpieces in the locker room that reinforce it, it doesn't mean anything. I think that's starting to get a little bit clearer with these guys, and I just think they're tired of being classified as, losers. Because I tell them all the time, man, I love winning, but God, I hate losing.
Yeah. What motivates you is a lot of times most successful people say, I'm more motivated by not losing than I am by winning, because they just want the next win, but the losses are the ones that resonate for a while.
Oh, I'll think about a win for a day, but I'll think about a loss for a week. I don't even expect my dog to come home to me or be happy when he sees me when we lose. But yeah, no, that I think that's kind of been my mantra personally since I was a player.
Right.
Mostly from my dad.
But it's human. It's a little bit of human nature. We forget the negative or the positive thing before we forget the negative thing, and that's said. And so trying to keep that from happening again is really a lot of motivation with all that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And whether it be some of these guys here, who are some of the players you're looking forward to leadership-wise, helping you build that culture of a winning mentality?
Again, including these guys, if there's a reason they're here, I would have brought a larger group, but I didn't want to do that to anybody. But I think a transfer that came in last summer, Nicholas Pinto, he's really goes to the forefront to try and lead as best as he can. You know what I mean? Works his excuse me.
That's fine. You're good.
He works his tail off. He really loves the program and he enjoys being a part of it. And I think that side of him is very contagious because you can tell he loves playing football here. We also have a younger guy, Peter Calfat. He's a sophomore. He had a pretty good game for us, as well as Isaac Smith on our spring game against Bayshore. I'm really excited about him as well. I mean, he's a very high GPA kid, great attitude. Just overall, if you could have 11 Peters on your team or more, you'd want them. Again, I could keep going if you want. You know what I mean? I could take 15 minutes to talk about
We
these
should hear
guys.
something from these guys as far as I've been asking the question.
Oh, please.
Are all you guys one sport athletes, football players, or do you play other sports as well? You can start right here.
I play everything.
Okay.
Trying to go into weightlifting this year, first year, so.
A position you play for football, right?
Tight end and DNs.
Okay. For you?
I'm a multi-sport athlete. I'm going to my 4th year for basketball and track, and I play safety and receiver.
Gotcha.
I'm a multi-sport athlete. I run track and I play football, and I play running back and linebacker.
Gotcha.
I'm a multi-sport athlete. I'm going on my 4th year for football and track, and I'm an outside linebacker, running back.
I'm a multi-sport athlete as well. It's my multi-sport athlete as well. 2nd year of weightlifting, 4th year of football, and I play D-line.
Gotcha.
So when you have all these guys playing multiple sports, is it translate from one sport to another? Is there certain things that you're wanting them to do athleticism-wise from one sport to the other to translate?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, when it's not in football season, as long as they're doing another sport, I'm happy. I feel again, personal opinion, I feel it limits you if you, again, not everybody, but if you solely focus on one side of athletics, it essentially stops you from expanding into different applicable muscle groups and movements, everything along those lines.
That's a fair point because that hasn't been brought up even. We talked about it today a little bit with all the athletes. But you're right, because there's different muscle groups, different things you can build that are not football related, but they can help you in a football scenario, and vice versa for the other sports as well.
No question. I'm not one of those guys that's going to lord over them, especially during the off season. If I know they're at basketball, I'm good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I know our athletic teams put them through it. So as long as they're not sitting at the house just playing video games, smoking vapes, then I'm happy.
Right, because that's when you lose the motivation's lost. The drive is been diminished a little bit.
It's easier. It's easier to do that because a lot of people do it. So it's easier to say, oh well, a lot of people do it, so I can do it.
Right.
But again, I think these guys have a good directive. It's not something I have to fight with a lot.
Good.
And for whichever senior would like to answer this, and we talked about the winning culture and trying to establish the fact that you guys are a winning program. You shouldn't be overlooked. What is it you're going about this offseason to kind of prove people wrong and take that next step and turn that next chapter? What's any senior that would like to ask? It's not specific to anybody.
Who wants it, Jason?
Our program, we're good players. We work hard. Over the past couple years, we had players, but like the drive to actually get better, we weren't there. I feel like this year with the group that we have, we're actually able to establish that winning culture for the years to come. So.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the answer you want to hear because that's you say you're establishing the legacy to the next one. Sometimes it's like, what did I do? Well, I won some football games, but I made it better for the next guys. You might be standing in a locker room 3 years from now watching that you're the guys that you show what to do, winning a regional championship or winning a state champ, whatever it may be, because you left your legacy behind by doing the right thing.
Well, and you nail it right on the head. It's similar, philosophical speeches you want to give to them, but I really believe that because you only have so much of a window to leave an impression. I tell them all the time, I say, how do you want to be remembered here? You know what I mean? Because again, 10 years, no one really cares about the win and losses. You'll hang out with your friends or talk about the fun times you had, you know what I mean? But it's a sense of pride knowing that, hey, we endured some of the worst times you could have through here, but we also managed to flip it, and we were a part of that.
Right.
And I hope they truly, feel that and believe that when we're going through this and when I'm saying things like that, because I know it's not going to hit with everybody, but the ones that buy into it, I know that it's going to be good for them just as a person down the road.
Right.
You know.
Well, the other part is like even let's say from an academic perspective, if you're a football player and you do the right thing and then you make all the right decisions and you go and you flourish and get a degree at the next level, that's going to be another thing that you. It doesn't have to be maybe a championship, but in fact, I know that I've watched him do it, and I want to do the same thing, and I want to go get my degree. I want to do some things maybe you wouldn't have done if that wasn't put out there, and they can see you. You're a high profile football player. You're out there on Friday nights, and it's like, yeah, he's a great student too, and he's going to go to this school, and those things all pass on by getting that platform that they get on a Friday night and with you guys playing sports.
Yeah, and that's what's nice with in the realm that we do. And I tell them all the time, I say, guys, football's not for everybody. If you end up deciding this isn't for you, whatever you decide to do, throw yourself into it. You know what I mean? If it's academics, throw yourself into it even more. If it's another sport, throw yourself into an activity or a hobby or something you want to do down the road, do it 100%.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we're not all going to be college football players. We're not all going to get to the NFL. I mean, we can bring up all the numbers that they have on the internet. But I think if we focus on the things that matter, in terms of down the road and what they can apply to what they do as adults and with their relationships throughout life, I know it sounds like a generic thing, but no, that's what we want.
Everything you're saying is, but it's sometimes those things we say, if you listen to them, they're true. And there's truth to all of that stuff. And again, a football team is a family. A football team is there to nurture the next one and help the guy next to you. And I think those are simple things that you can apply to any job you have or anything you do in your life. And I think if you're building that now with the program, there's nothing but whatever success you want, how you want to label success, you'll get it. That's exactly what it'll be.
No, of course.
And I guess it's probably a prototypical cookie cutter question at a media day, but who are we running with under center? What's kind of the idea there at the quarterback position this year? Because Evan, he graduate?
So Evan, he graduated school early, and he, again, joined the military, and he's flourishing right now. I'm very excited for him. And, again, he was a high academic guy. I'm surprised he's not walking around at Harvard at some point soon. But just from our spring, going through our summer, going into the season, we do have an established guy, Nicholas Pinto. He's going to be a senior. Again, the kid who works his butt off. I'm excited for him because he's finally kind of getting into a starting role consistently, and he kind of got a taste of that in the spring with the game against Bayshore. But I know he won't be unsuccessful because of the lack of work or preparation, because he's going to do all of that times 10, and he'll probably give me his own game plan and breakdown before the first game and every. No, he's that type of kid, very analytical, very sharp. He's a high 4.0 GPA guy as well. But I know he won't go out there and lose a game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think he is a hell of a game manager.
And your schedule for this year, I know you start off on the 25th of August, Paris Community at
Yes,
away game.
Mm-hmm.
How many games this year, and who's up we see on your schedule?
So we have 10 games. We did have a kickoff classic scheduled, but our opponent pulled out for whatever reason it may have been. Again, not getting into that.
Right.
We'll turn that into a sort of inter-squad kickoff classic.
Sure.
We'll make it a community event. But that first week, obviously, we go up to Parish, and I think they're a very well-coached team. They got some athletes. That'll be a good measuring stick for us, and fortunately we can have that week 2 bye, so we can kind of collect ourselves regardless of the result. And playing against IMG Blue, regardless of what level, it never hurts to have 2 weeks to prepare for that kind of team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that doesn't hurt my feelings, and that'll be our first home game. And I'm really excited because we've done a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, not just football related, the student section side, the getting more people from the community involved with it.
Yeah.
Again, I tell them all the time, I said, we got to give these people a reason to want to come out on Friday nights. You know what I mean? People pay money for a reason. Let's make them not regret paying money around here. And I think, again, I don't know if you want me to go through the whole schedule.
No, I'm saying, but you're mostly local, or what's your furthest travel?
Our farthest game will be Tarpon Springs, up near Tampa.
Yep.
That'll be our hour, 45 minutes, close to 2-hour trip, which no one enjoys doing. But again, we expanded kind of our net of game options just with how we can schedule because of the independent side of things. Again, I think we have a very competitive schedule. I don't think I'm looking at it and thinking, oh man, we're not gonna be able to hang in this game, or we can't beat this team. You know what I mean? That's it. These guys have done a lot of preparation. We've scheduled appropriately, And I think that it's going to show. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and guarantee a perfect season. We're going to go 1 week at a time, which is what I tell them all the time. Try to go 1-0 because that's all that matters. But again, I don't think it's out of the realm of thinking that they can't be the first 500 or better team in the history of the school.
Right.
And I don't just throw that out there willy-nilly.
And that's a legitimate goal. I mean, there's legitimate. They say this is where we want. If we get this, and then you get there, and you're like, say this is the next goal, and that's just kind of how it works. You just gotta, like I said, doing what you did. Again, I thought it's a for what you had to do, what you took over. Probably a very mature, maybe not the most popular decision, but this is the next step in that rebuild. And I think you're on your way.
No, and I didn't want to just be here for 2 years and disappear.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which, again, the personal connection, I feel like hopefully that makes more of the difference.
Yeah.
Which I think it has. Because, again, it's nice. It's freaking me out. I'm seeing kids of people I went to school with as 14-year-olds now. That's probably the worst part. I'm sitting like, oh my God, now I got people's children in here that I
know me
through the hall. Yeah, no, and that's the biggest difference, But again, I think I don't want to say just your atypical thing, but it worked out. It's working out the way I'm hoping it does.
Good.
And
that's good to hear.
These guys are making it happen behind me.
You have a plan. That's always the best thing. No plan is the worst thing. Having a plan is the
then you're just wandering in circles.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of really good support staff and older coaches and people behind the scenes that really make me look smart. So I rely on them a lot, but I think that makes it really go is when you have people that care about it.
Well, that community in particular, when things are good, they will they're supportive. They are very supportive. So anything else?
The building blocks are there. I think the team's going to move forward in a positive way, and I know last year I had some pretty good highlights of Mr. Smith back there. So I think rising junior. So I think there's going to be a lot in the future for the run game.
As long as he holds on to the football, we ain't going to have no worries.
I didn't see those highlights.
No, we'll never see those highlights. Not a chance.
We just save that for Saturday mornings.
No doubt. All right, that's thank you for coming out, Garen.
Right,
We had a great time. Guys, thank you. Good luck this season. Hope the best for you. This is the Northport Bobcats and Garen Belser. Thank them for coming out to our Suncoast Gridiron Media Day, and we'll be back here in a little bit. See you soon.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on the new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month, or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And we're back here at Douglas Jeep for the Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023, and we are now happy to welcome Sarasota Sailors head football coach Josh Phillips. Josh, and you've actually got some guests with you too, but I want to make sure that thank you for being here again. You've been with our 9 for 1 podcast before and did a great job with us a couple weeks ago, and we're happy to have you back now to kind of give you a little prelude to your upcoming season. So with that, what are you looking at this year as far as your outcome, and what are you thinking for the prognosis for the team going into the season?
Well, I think we got a great group of seniors coming back. We're a heavy senior-laden team. A couple of them right here. We got Joe Ziegler Jr. We've got Nick Wasowitz here, representing the Sailors. Joe Ziegler's a running back. Nick's a safety. But we've got a lot of seniors, and it's a really tight-knit group, and they work really hard. So I expect us to improve on what they did last year,
right?
Which is not going to be an easy task with the schedule that we have, but I believe in this group. I believe in what they're going to do. And the goal is always to improve and get better than what we were before. And they won a first-round playoff game against my Manatee Hurricanes.
And that was going to be my first question. I mean, 5-5 record for Sarasota Sailors last year. Obviously, we've been talking about this all day. That the Hurricane wiped away a lot of games last year. So a lot of adversity outside of the football field that was taken on by the players and the coaches and whatnot. But 5-5 record, a playoff win against Manatee, and moving into the second round where the Riverview Rams got a hold of the Sailors that time. But the idea is that you're probably looking at it with a senior laden team where you're looking to take another step forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way that they played in the playoffs, that this team played in the playoffs, and the resilience that they had, I see that in this group already. And then they're coming together now. It's a culture thing. A lot about football is culture and team. And I'm thankful to have walked into a group that has the type of leadership that we have. It's a blessing. And so I believe that that is what's going to carry us when it gets hard, because it always gets hard.
Right.
There's always tough moments in football games and seasons, and it's really about how you respond and bounce back. And I believe that this team can take another step forward. Does that mean that we go to the regional final? Does that mean I don't know. But our goal is to do better than we did last year, and hopefully to walk off the field the last winner at the end.
For you guys in particular, obviously last year's season you probably felt like you're building on something, and now Coach Phillips comes in. You feel the same way. You're building towards something a little bigger and better for this year.
Yes, sir. I mean, of course, everybody feels the same way. We had a different coach. Now we have another coach. So just pretty much building back and actually getting better than we did last season.
And Nick, same for you? Feel the same way?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And guys, you also, as far as whatever carried forward, whatever positive carried forward, you probably relayed that back to Coach a little bit and said, hey, this is some of the things that we did. And I'm sure you probably asked them as well, like, hey, I saw you from afar. I played against you, coached against you guys. So you probably are probably using their experiences to help you kind of craft what you're going to do this year.
Yeah. So Brody Weissman, the former head coach, now at Riverview, great coach, did a really good job with those guys. So I want to give him props for that. And now we're going to battle it out at the crosstown rivalry, which will be nice. But he did a lot of things to set them up for success. So definitely coming in, it wasn't like a complete, let's scrap everything that happened before.
Right.
It was, what do we do well? And how do we keep that going? And then how can we improve on the things that maybe we didn't do as well last year? And that has been a focal point.
That was a question I was going to ask you too. Coming into the program that's coming off of a successful year with some senior-laden players, some good players to pick up the pieces with. Is that an easier process, you think, for you, or is it something that you're having to try to fit yourself into the dynamic of everything, or would it have been easier? Do you think maybe just to come in and where it wasn't as successful or didn't have any success? How do you see that as far as the challenge to all that?
I think one of the key things for a new head coach is buy-in period from whatever the group is that you have, and maybe that would be easier with a younger group. Unless you've got guys that choose to buy in,
right?
Which I feel like these guys have done. They've chosen to buy into what we're doing and the way that we're doing it, the coaching staff that we have. So it's a credit to them, really. It's about them, because if they don't buy in, then it would be really hard and it wouldn't be good. But the group that we've had has bought in, and so they have made my job easier.
That's great. And as far as these guys are coming off summer conditioning, how did that work out for you guys? Was it any different than, or did the coach have a little different flair for that, or what was it like?
Probably the exercises, but pretty much it's just about team bonding, bringing everybody together, getting ready for the upcoming season.
Yeah, same. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, definitely. He's like more like team bonding, keeping everyone more of like together.
And that's the culture you're talking about. You're creating a culture. You're creating a team unity. When we spoke the last time, I know that was a big part of what you had talked about, how important it was to have that culture, have that relationship more than it was just being a coach. It's more about being a mentor, about everything else. And I'm sure these guys are probably getting that from you over the summer, especially before, summertime is what it is. It's conditioning and whatnot, but it's also the time that you build those bonds.
Yeah, we just went to camp a couple weeks ago. We had a 3-day, 2-night camp that we went to, and that was a great experience. Got to, spend a little time with the guys outside of the school setting, go to the cafeteria and hang out in dorms and practice against a lot of other teams. And that was a great experience for us. We've got a lock-in event. They did something like this similar last year, but we're going to practice actually on Friday night after midnight in full pads for the first time. And then we'll do a lock-in and play a bunch of games. They're hyped up because they think they're going to talk us into a players versus coaches basketball game. So we'll see. I got one of my coaches over here, Joe Ziegler Sr., Joe's dad. He's definitely going to suit up for us if that happens.
For you guys, any particular goals? I mean, obviously you're going to have team goals, but any goals for you for this season that you both have going into it?
I would say, as I said earlier, I want to have 1,200 yards actually. And then
12,000.
We'll be talking to you a lot about 12,000 yards.
And then I want us to, as a team,
go farther in the playoffs as we did last year.
And Nick, for you?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like individually, just get better than I was last year. Like just put up better stats and just overall as a player, just get a lot better. And definitely as a team wise too, just get as far as we can.
You guys play football. Are you two-sport athletes? You play any other sports, or just football only?
I play football, and then I'm gonna get back into baseball and weightlifting.
Okay. This year. And Nick?
I'm just football.
Okay, because I was asking, I'm finding out more and more that it seems like there's been a little bit of a twist with all the other teams and coaches I spoke to, where a lot of the players are getting back into being two-sport athletes again. And I don't know, I was going to ask you this: are you a proponent, or how do you feel about the two-sport athlete as far as high school is concerned?
I think if you want to do that at the high school level, you should.
Right.
I think that there's too much specialization that goes on way too early now. And actually, I think it's leading to a lot of injuries, all this AAU stuff. These kids play basketball all year round. They're gone all the time. I've got some football players that play baseball also.
Right.
And, I'm always trying to watch their arm usage and injuries to the elbow and stuff like that. But I am definitely a proponent of playing more than one sport at the high school level. Like, be part of the high school experience.
Right.
Be part of campus spirit. I want that. And I want us to go support the other teams on campus.
Yeah.
Because we want them to support us.
Right.
So even though football is, the biggest sport on campus, just in terms of how many guys we have on the team, we've got a great basketball program. We've had traditionally a great baseball program for a really long time. So I definitely support that. And those other coaches, BJ and Coach Mulholland, are really, really good coaches.
And success breeds success. If you see somebody a best friend or somebody that's all of a sudden their sport's doing well or whatever, you kind of there's a little competitiveness, but there's also, hey, I want to be having the same success that they're having, and I think it kind of breeds that, and you start to see that culture not just emanate on the team, but it emanates throughout the school. And then everybody there's a total buy-in with that. So I'm sure you guys probably, like I said, if you set the example early, because the fall sport, you guys are kicking it off. Usually volleyball and football are out the gate early, and then they're the ones who can set a lot of tone for the rest of the year. As football players, do you feel as yourself not just leaders in the football field, but you feel yourself leaders that maybe in the classroom as well or in the school as well?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I definitely see like kids like maybe younger like looking up to us and stuff, just wanting to be like us kind of thing.
Same for you?
Yes, sir. As football players, they look at us pretty much like the big people on campus, so we pretty much have to set an example throughout the whole school year.
And you think it sounds like but there is a lot of responsibility to that, and I'm sure you probably speak to that because you set the tone for a lot of that stuff, and I'm sure that's something that you speak of, and these guys are probably prepared for it right now. And the season starts, and it's just not about only Friday nights, those 48 minutes. It's the rest of the week as well. If you're a winner, you're a winner all the time.
I believe that a football team can be a thermostat for a campus and really turn it up. The heat in terms of doing things the right way. And if these guys are buttoned up, they're treating their classmates well, they're doing what their teachers are asking them to do, and they're excited and bought in, it's going to make the whole campus that way. And that's what we want. Again, you want the best high school experience you can possibly have. And I believe in the American high school dream, so to speak. I think it still exists at the best schools in the country, and I want us to have that.
Your experience, obviously, coming from your college experience, pro experience, and coaching out in California, Manatee High School, what challenges does this give you? I mean, if you're coming from being a defensive coordinator last year, the biggest challenge to going from the coordinator to the head coach, what's the biggest transition or challenge for you going into that arena?
I'd have to say the biggest challenge is the stuff that doesn't have anything to do with football. The biggest challenge is dealing with booster clubs and sometimes parents and all that other stuff, but the organization of it, and in school as well. Because when I was a defensive coordinator, it's not that I didn't care about grades, but it wasn't my job to check anybody's grades or make sure that they were eligible. Right? I just was here's who you have to play. So making sure that these kids are getting the tutoring that they need, the support services that they have, which we have a lot of those at our school. We have people that are willing to volunteer and come in and do that. Just keeping track of all of it, right? And it's just, I have a new respect for head coaches. I think I said this to Jaquez Green the other day. I sent him a text message and just like, I have a whole new respect for you now, because I thought it would be one way. And of course I always thought, oh, I'm going to be a great head coach. And now I'm in the spot and I'm like, ooh, this is harder than I thought it was going to be.
Those couple hours on the practice field every day are probably your happiest moments in the position you have, because you're actually doing what you want to do, which is coach football.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Like those couple of hours on the field, it's like you can just focus on the field, get all the other distractions out of your mind, be present with these kids, and enjoy the game that I love. So, that's the best part of the day for sure.
And goals for you guys after school. I mean, after you've got great Sarasota High School, you get your diploma, you're off and going. Any goals that you have to, or places you want to be after that, and what you're looking forward to after high school football?
I'm still looking to attend my which college fits me best for the next 4 years, but I want to take my barbering license serious and look forward into that.
Gotcha. And Nick, for you?
Just be successful on like the next like level when it comes to college, or maybe even football if that's like haven't really decided that yet. But definitely just be successful. I don't really know where I'm going to college yet or nothing like that.
And right, I think, Coach, we talked about it when you were here last time too. Sometimes football is the bridge to success outside of football, because you can do things other. It could get you your opportunity to go to school. It could give you an opportunity for a lot of other things, and it's a networking possibility as well. You just never know who you're going to meet. You never know who might be the person that triggers your next interest, and I'm sure you've solved that as well.
Well, life is absolutely about the relationships that you form, and there's been a couple of jobs that I've gotten in my life because of people that I knew. I mean, it's super common that happens, and these bonds they last a lifetime, so treasure them. But football definitely sets you up for success in life. We talked about that a little bit the last podcast I was on, and it helps you be resilient. It helps you be able to handle pressure that otherwise maybe you wouldn't be able to, and know what it's like to be part of a team. And most of these guys, and I'm not going to limit anybody. I'm never going to say never, right? I don't know. Joe might play in the NFL.
Sure.
Nick might play. I don't know.
No, you never know.
So I'm not going to limit that they can't do it, but the percentages are very low. But this helps you get an education and get to go on and get that 4-year college degree. That's a win in my book, and it helps set them up for success in life. And that's what we're trying to do.
How many times you probably heard from past players who said, "My goodness, when I went to do this, or when I went into the Army, or whatever I potentially did, the job I had, it was nothing. Everything that I prepared for me was those practices in the summer, or that one game, or whatever it may be. They can pull a lot of that out, and I think sometimes that's a lost benefit to what football can do for you.
That's one of the most blessed moments I've had is when I get a call back from a former player, and maybe we've talked regularly, maybe we haven't talked in years, and they want to share something with me, something great, a moment that happened in their life. They got engaged, they got a new job, they're looking for advice, and they just call an old coach. And again, these relationships are special, and that's why I think this position is such a blessing, and I get to hang out with guys like this.
No doubt. You guys are 4S, District 14. Obviously, you got Riverview and Venice in the district. But other than maybe those two games, or any other game you're looking forward to, or you guys looking forward to a game on the schedule that maybe we ought to take a good look at that week?
I just want to win. I mean,
that's good. No, that's fine.
I really just want to win as a team, and I want us to actually do better than we did last year. It's our last go-around, our last high school game, so I want it to be our best year.
Yeah, definitely trying to go out with a bang. Like, it doesn't matter who we're playing against, as long as we win, as long as we keep moving forward.
And for you, any particular game stand out? You're taking one week at a time, one game at a time.
Well, I gotta be honest, right? I mean, there's a couple of things you circle on the schedule. Now, Riverview and Venice, you got to do that because those are district matchups. Those are crosstown rivals.
That gets you where you want to be.
Of course, okay, of course. Manatee, all right, and I know that they circled it, so this is not news to anybody. When they watch this podcast, they circled it too. Those kids, their last loss was against these guys,
right?
And now I'm over there, so I'm like a traitor. So they're gonna want to beat me, of course. So they're gonna circle that matchup, and then right after that, I have to say, just for me personally, that Booker is a team that I circle, not because of what they've done, just because of the noise that's coming out of that program right now. Yeah, there's a lot of noise, and you got to be able to back it up on the field. And I think, he did a good job last year, so I'm going to give him credit for that. But I know that they've circled the crosstown games, so it'll be good for the fans. Booker's right down the road. It's one of our home games this year. We only have 4, so I think there'll be a big crowd there that night, and it's something to get up for.
And that's what I was going to say, because that is the thing I've noticed too. Getting the heat or the rivalries going amongst the schools, and it's healthy. it's a good situation. It's good to have that feel like this means something. The crowd gets into it. You guys are into it. It's a really cool situation, and I'm seeing a little bit more of that sort of rise to the top. Some of the coaches I spoke to this today and all these different times are talking about just those very things. How the districts changed a little bit. They got condensed. They got shrunk down a little bit.
Yeah, they're smaller.
But it gave opportunity for more rivalries again. You're not having a 7-team district and you're playing 5 teams from St. Pete or 4 teams from Naples or whatever it may be. You're playing 2 or 3 teams locally that are your size, and now you can go back to playing the Bookers, the Cardinal Moonies, and all the other schools that maybe you haven't had a chance to schedule or didn't work out.
Well, I didn't get to make most of the schedule this year. I just walked into it, but there's a couple teams I'd like to get on our schedule in the future. Like I wanted to play Braden River.
Right.
I wanted to play Parrish. So those are teams that I look to try to schedule games with in the future. I'm glad that Palmetto's on the schedule. I'm glad that Manatee's on the schedule. I think it's good. I mean, like Port Charlotte and Charlotte aren't on our schedule, and they're not that far away. So just playing local teams,
right,
and keeping those rivalries alive. And I also think it's good for the gate. I mean, people that have played
100%.
against. I have been surprised, again, kind of being relatively new to this area, how many of these guys they played with and against each other when they were in Little League.
Yeah.
And so they'll talk to me about, my buddy's on this team, or they'll say this guy's name, and I'm like, how do you know him? Oh, yeah, we played together for, a couple years. So I think that that's really good.
Yeah.
It gives them another reason to get up for the game and something to focus on, and it's fun.
Well, Coach, I thank you for coming out today. It's been a real pleasure, again, to have you here. And you guys, all the success in the world for you guys. Stay with it. This guy's a very impressive man. We talked to him last time. I think he's got a lot to offer other than just being a coach. So that means a lot, and I hope you guys have a really good season. Thank you again for showing up.
Thank you, John.
All right,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
All right. That was Sarasota Sailors head coach Josh Harris. I'll start over. I always say Josh Harris. Josh Phillips.
Take two.
Yeah, I think he can edit that out, or will he maybe look silly? I don't know. We'll have to see. With that, we'll be back at Douglas Jeep here in a few minutes. Thanks.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Now is the time to take advantage of these great deals and make this summer awesome. Get a hot deal on a new Jeep Compass from only $299 per month, or own the road in a new Ram truck from only $328 per month. Make waves with a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $399 per month. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has the area's hottest deals and hot new wheels? Douglas does!
And we're back here at Douglas Jeep to wrap up our Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023 here on the 941 podcast, Sports Zone podcast. Here with John Reynolds, SNN Sports Director, and myself, John Massoni. And John, I mean, it was really interesting. We've had 16 schools come through, and it was really interesting to see what each coach brought as far as their enthusiasm and as far as their culture they're trying to set. But I think overall, I think we saw that all these guys are pretty impressive guys when it come right down to it. I was waiting for the one who didn't have that personality, but they all had a lot to offer and a lot to say. And I'd like to see your impressions as well on that.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the enthusiasm seen around the Suncoast from these schools is really important. It's positive that they're positive, and it's just a positive thing overall. I mean, you knew guys like Scottie Littles were going to come in here and be positive about the program, about the culture. But some of the guys you did know, like we just talked to Coach Belser, we just talked to a couple of the 8-man schools. So it's just like guys like that have a really positive outlook, even though that they may not get the shine or the spotlight. So coming here today may help their program, but there's no one here that's not trying at least to build a program up. There's coaches and schools that are really wanting to put the best foot forward for their athletes. And then the athletes that we've seen today also have that same mindset, that same mentality, because the coach could say one thing and it could fall on deaf ears. But you see that these players are piggybacking what their coaches are saying. It's really a sight to see.
Very, very impressed with the athletes that came in here today. Had something to say, had the message right. They seemed like they all had their minds in the right place. And it was impressive to see them stand there and be able to, get in front of the camera and talk with them on a microphone and be mature and be on point with a lot of the stuff. I will say this as well. I can kind of put it into everybody in kind of maybe a group or two. Very impressed with the smaller schools, the smallest of the schools. They have a conviction in what they're doing. they are thoroughly enthusiastic about their programs. I mean, they know that they're playing. They got 100 kids in the school or 300 kids in the school, but they're out there and they got the same enthusiasm as a John Peacock or a Curt Bradley or guys that have been here for a long, long time and had success. So that was very impressive to me. I thoroughly enjoyed what they had to say. Then seeing some programs that are rebuilding and building like Bayshore, like Northport, but looking at them and saying, they need to look at Scottie Littles, because he said we were 1-29, and now he's standing there with 2 stud athletes and all these different guys, and he's got it going on. And it took it. He did the rebuild, and he did what he needed to do, and showed that enthusiasm. And those guys hopefully could do the same thing at their programs.
And I think the ball is in the court of a lot of the communities of those schools too, because Scottie has also rebuilt the culture at Booker for the people in the surrounding area, and that Sarasota area, to back that team and be behind it again so we can reach the prominence that it had before. I think that, like I said, the ball is in the court of a lot of these communities to rally behind their schools. And I know there's people there that do that, but I think if you come out and support and communities get behind their team, that only is going to help these players. And I think, like you mentioned, a lot of those smaller schools, and I think I said it 100 times, how a lot of those atmospheres are so fun because you have so many of those people just really honed in to those schools, and the players, everybody knows everybody there, everybody's going to every game, and they even pull out all the stops for even the smallest of schools. So it's cool to see that, aside from the Peacocks and the bigger schools and coaches that have had a lot of success, these schools, and a couple of them even mentioned that those schools are successful. They're striving to reach that point. There's not anybody that's like sat back in the shadows and be like, well, I'm this school, I'll never reach that level, but they're still striving for the success of those that are also successful in that level.
I always look at high school football as such a purely American kind of thing. You know, it's not to get all patriotic or whatever, but it's like, I look at that and I always stand in the press box at Venice High School and I'll look out and I'll say, this is happening in every town in America right now. The game, the kickoff's happening, the community is rallying behind these kids. It's such a cool thing, and then to see these guys come in here and talk about their philosophy and work ethic and trying to get their kids to be the best and do the best they can be. Not everybody's going to win a state championship. Not everybody's going to win a district championship. But the idea is you're trying to build character and build young men into being successes and to work hard, work for your team, love your teammates, love your coaches, all those different things, and it's reciprocated. And to hear them all talk in the way that they did, it was very, very uplifting. It made me feel good to really talk to all these guys at the end of the day.
And I do want to pose a question to you. Do you have any schools that maybe you didn't think as much about, not as like lesser than, but like, is there any schools that coming out of today that you're excited to see where they go, where they're headed? Like, is there a couple schools today that surprised you?
Obviously I'm gonna say Booker right off the top. I mean, they've sort of they're on that path. Really interested to see it where they're headed. I just think they've got so much, that's got the momentum behind what they're doing. I will tell you this: I walked away very impressed with Port Charlotte because I think they have some things that that they're going to be doing. Again, he's built his program, and Jordan Ingman has it, and so I'm interested to see how they do as well. I'm interested in watching the district play. Sometimes you fall into like, what's the intersectional matchup or whatever else. I'm really to see how in district play, because I think there's a lot of teams in the area that are going to be really competitive in their districts. And so I'd like to see that. I'm interested in see how Bayshore turns it around. I think when talking to the Bayshore coach, I was like, man, you guys were the bomb. You were it.
Yeah.
And you guys were, and it's right there. And like you said, we're right across the street from IMG. They're in that same talent pool that Manatee, Palmetto, all those different guys are in that same area. And interested to see how if that can get turned around, especially with those 4 new coaches. Breon Carnes being one of the ones that I saw playing against us for years, and he was a hell of an athlete.
I think a lot of those first year and second year coaches are going to be fun to watch. Coach Mentzer at Charlotte, I think that team's going to take a step forward, especially with the mentality that he presented today. I think Bradenton Christian was Coach Strawderman, such a young coach. I think he's setting a culture there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch a lot of these teams. ODA was very successful last year, and Coach Hollway said today he thinks they're even better than last year. And then obviously the John Peacocks and Venices of the world are always going to try to play for state titles. Right.
I'm looking forward to, like, as I said earlier this week in our podcast, I'm ready for football, and I think everybody is as well. Monday, the 31st, everything starts, and as far as practice are concerned, and then we have games kicking off on the 18th.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you letting me come out today and be a part of this, man.
I wouldn't have done it without you. This is fantastic. Thanks for all your help as well. And I want to thank you guys for watching 9 for 1 Sports Zone podcast. This is our media day here at the Douglas Jeep, and thanks to our Vibrant Aspect Media crew.
Absolutely.
Francis, Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you help us out here as well. And Monty Jacobs, let's give Monty a huge hand
Joey
for what he
Dees.
did. Joey Dees, and put all this the decorations and everything up. Fantastic job. So with that, for John Reynolds, I'm John Massoni. Thank you for watching our Suncoast Gridiron Media Day 2023. Look forward to seeing you at the football field on Friday nights. See you soon.